welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode, or in this case, the following week. Can you believe it? My name is Colton Brown, and joining me, laughing maniacally over there for some reason, it's Andrew Meadows. Maybe it's because we're recording before Halloween.
On the eve.
This episode is going up after, so it's all in the past. The Halloween stuff is over and done, all right? I know
Does it mean
still in the mood. You're still in the spirit
I am
of it,
wrong for being in Halloween mood?
No, you're still, no, you're just prepping yourself for the big night.
Yeah.
So I understand. But yeah, we're gonna take a break from some spooky stuff, okay? For this episode, because we've got, oh boy, do we have a movie to talk about on this episode. A movie called The Wild Robot. First animated movie I think we've covered in a long, long time.
Yeah,
we missed out on
this year.
I think it's the first one of this year. Not the first animated project. We did do X-Men 97, like X-Men 97. We've done some animated stuff on the TV side of things. But I was trying to think, because we missed Inside Out 2. Never made it to a theater for that. I don't think that's on Disney Plus yet. I could be wrong.
I feel like it is.
Maybe it feels like it should be. So maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. But that was like one of the biggest animated movies of all time, if not the biggest. I can't remember exactly where it ended up placing in terms of box office.
Large.
So it was a big thing for us to miss out on. But it's still good to find the time to talk about movies like this. You know what I mean? So I think Spider-Verse was the last movie animated movie we covered.
Right.
That would
into last year, right?
That would have been probably summer of last year. I think it's been over a year since we've properly covered an animated movie. No, I'm sure you've been watching an animated movie or two in your house.
Started Mulan last night.
Okay, the animated Mulan, not the really good live action one. You mean?
Yeah. You bring glory to us all. Yeah,
I'll make a man out of you.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far in it. Sarah fell asleep, so we had to pause it.
Maybe there'll be time tonight or tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah.
You're going to be busy after that, but we'll talk about that later. So it's really exciting to talk about The Wild Robot. I'm very excited to get into it. It's another VOD, video on demand one, just like Beetlejuice. I won't say it a third time. We brought him around too many times on the last episode.
Please,
we were here for 3+ hours because of that. Because we couldn't stop doing our Beetlejuice / Rick and Morty voice. I gotta say, even though we are late to the party with this one, I am very glad we're covering it, and I feel like it's a movie that maybe has slipped under the radar a little bit for a lot of people. Maybe that's just my personal experience, and I'm conflating that with everyone else's experience too. But I think it's a good movie to bring attention to. But obviously, we'll get into that. And yeah, I kind of said as much already, but it's only been a week since we last convened. So hopefully this will be like a back to regular affairs. We've got some news to still catch up on, of course. We've got a movie to talk about, of course, some other things to talk about. But it shouldn't feel like a what have you been up to for the past 10 years of your life sort of dump like we've been doing with our quarterly releases or quarterly recording sessions and stuff like that. So very, very excited to get into everything that we have on this episode. But definitely the movie, very much the movie. But on the note of the movie, I have kind of some scattered fun facts that I thought I could throw some shit at the wall and see what stuck. So something that I found interesting. This is a movie that's written and directed by a man named Chris Sanders. His directorial debut was a movie that came out in 2002, a Disney movie called Lilo and Stitch.
Really,
which is pretty cool. Which, that's a little fun, but I think the most fun thing about that is he himself voiced the character of Stitch and Lilo and Stitch in subsequent media appearances, which is pretty fun.
Didn't know that.
Something like that. And in terms of the other things that came to mind when I was kind of reading up on this movie, because it's the kind of movie you read, you watch and you're like, I would like to learn more about this. It's based off of a book series, which was originally written by author Peter Brown.
I was going to say Dan Brown. I'm glad I didn't.
It's not Dan Brown. There's no
Da Vinci Codes in the robots.
No Da Vinci Codes or anything like that. No Angels and Demons or whatever the Infernos or what. I think is that one Inferno? Is that the third one in that?
Dante's. No, that's not right.
Well, not Dante's Inferno, but maybe it's a reference to that. I don't know. I don't think I actually got that far. Looks like it's just 2 books that are out: The Wild Robot and The Wild Robot Escapes. So it's not like a long-running series, anything like that. Okay. But it is based off of a children's novel, I guess, or at least a youth-friendly novel. And I think maybe the one of the stars of this movie is the animation, which I'm sure will come up later. I'm relatively positive that it will come up in some fashion. But it looks very different from other animated movies, in the modern day, where it kind of has this sort of painting-like quality to the look of it.
Are you segueing to my fun fact?
Oh, I didn't know you had a fun fact. I didn't know you had one.
Yeah,
I was just. Oh, okay. All right. Well, if this is a natural point for a handoff and you want to talk about some of the animation type things, then I welcome.
So the fun fact here is that in animation you typically, or I mean in anything really, in photography or imagery, you have your foreground and you have your background, right? Sure. The action typically happens in the foreground, and your background is kind of like the tapestry that the foreground is presented on. Mm-hmm. The backgrounds of this film in nature are actually undocumented Bob Ross prints. Like they're not televised, the televised paintings, but they are Bob Ross prints.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
I was saying, I don't know if that's true. I feel like it'd be on the Wikipedia article that I'm looking at.
Nope, that is not true. I made that up, but they look like Bob Ross.
They do. It's Bob Ross inspired. The director, Chris Sanders, do you actually have a fun fact, or you just...
No, that was it.
You just yanking my chain. Okay. The director, Chris Sanders, said they took inspiration from Disney classic animated movies and Miyazaki films, and he described the style of the movie as a Monet painting in a Miyazaki forest, which is a pretty fair way of summarizing it. But they used technologies from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish and The Bad Guys to basically create this hand-painted look for, a CG animated film, which, I think we've seen certainly, more pioneering types of animations in recent years with stuff like Spider-Verse, obviously, which we just mentioned, has a sort of, I don't want to say...
Spider-Verse kind of matches the vibe, though,
Yeah, sort of that vibe where it's again a little bit different than kind of what you come to expect out of your animated movies, which obviously in their own right are beautifully animated. You think about obviously How to Train Your Dragon, as a DreamWorks movie, or like Moana 2, Frozen's, like beautiful works of art, but still kind of have a pretty distinct 3D animation style. This is very much not that, in the same way that something like Spider-Verse or TMNT Mutant Mayhem was, so
just feels it feels more, there's something more, I don't know, there's something that gets lost when you make something animated solely, like it loses kind of like that endearing kind of touch, you know what I mean? Like it almost feels warmer, feeling like it's been hand painted, even though it may not be hand painted.
Totally, yeah. It has the sort of handcrafted or just it just feels like a reminder of the craft that goes into it. Which I agree. It's obviously not to discount the amount of hard work that gets poured into any animated movie is obviously incredible, but it almost feels like it's like an extra flourish that they're showing off, and just like how the quality, stands apart from other movies. So anyway, the animation is definitely a standout here. And there was a lot of work that was put into making it look, the way that it does, and to rendering it in its particular style, which again, kind of stands apart from a typical animated movie. And that much was clear from the first trailer that we got. So continues through into the final product. So I'll leave it at that for fun facts. We obviously will have a lot more to talk about with the movie when we get there, but we do have some news to play catch up on. So we've got a few headlines, and we've got a bit more on the trailers side of things. Thankfully, we are not doing an in memoriam section on this episode. The benefits of recording, in a relatively short span of time, or at least for us, a relatively short span of time, which is to say a normal span of time for most podcasts, what we used to be able to accomplish. But now we're busier and married, and children are involved, and
it's got a little bit of stuff going on.
We got life. So let's start with our first headline: Pacific Rim. We are getting more Pacific Rim in the form of a prequel television series, which is in development at Legendary Entertainment. It will be an origin story series with showrunner Eric Heiserer apparently in charge of things. He's a man who's probably done some things, if I had to guess. Let's find out what he's done. We'll find out together. This is great. Okay, so he did the screenplay for a movie called Arrival, 2016 movie called Arrival, which was an adaptation of a short story by Ted Chiang. And I'm going to plug our friends right now. Our friends over at Ink to Film, the Ink to Film podcast, actually did a podcast where they had Ted Chiang on, the writer of that short story, and talked to him about his process for writing that short story and what it was like to have it adapted into a Denis Villeneuve movie. With huge. Fucking Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner and Forrest Whitaker and shit, and it was adapted by this guy Eric Heiserer. So anyway, that's pretty good. I can't be mad about that. He also wrote Bloodshot, co-wrote it with Jeff Wadlow, so that's a little less impressive.
That's Vin Diesel, right? That's a Vin Diesel movie?
That is the Vin Diesel movie. That was the last movie I saw in theaters before they shut down during COVID. So good times. Might have been true for you as well. I don't know if you
did. I watch that? I don't know if I watched that or not.
I don't think. I think it was one of those ones that I was like, no, we got to do it for the pod, because that was the before we realized that we could curate what we actually recorded instead of just recording on every piece of shit that came out. But I think I saw it, and before you had a chance to step into a cinema. The world did you a solid. It did you a favor. But either way, hey, he can hang his hat on adapting Arrival, and now he's going to be bringing us a Pacific Rim prequel series to pull it back in, keep this on topic. So how do you feel about that? Pacific Rim, that first movie is pretty fucking cool, right? The sequel is like fine, maybe. There was an anime series that was on Netflix that I definitely never watched. I don't know if you did.
No, I did not.
So what do you think? Would you welcome a prequel series?
I was going to ask if this was animated. It doesn't sound like it is.
I don't think so. I'm thinking this is live action based on what I understand.
I don't think I'm going to be there for it. I don't think it's going to have the budget. I don't think it's going to have
That's true. It's a prequel series that's set before they build the Jaegers. It's before the monsters, before the kaiju. So it's just the world. It's just a regular ass Earth. Nothing really fancy going on.
Yeah, it's like
so it's a
like, and if it's not, is it of the alien world? And if so, yeah, you're under budget there too.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Right, that's true. Yeah, I was like, that's actually a really fascinating, interesting idea. But yeah, no, then you run into the same issues. I don't know. I mean, these days, serious money gets spent on TV shows.
I guess you're not
Secret
wrong.
Invasion had an absurd budget for whatever reason, and still kind of looked like ass in spite of it. So like, it's not impossible to be spending lots of money, and maybe the CG assets are sitting in a vault somewhere, so you can just kind of paint over or reuse things, in a way that
that's true.
Like when Hulk appeared on She-Hulk, it looked really good. Because they were just, using his assets from the movie quality side of things. Whereas She-Hulk herself kind of looked like ass because they had to build new TV budget assets for her. And so, you could kind of see the quality difference.
Assets.
So, assets. Megan Thee Stallion, twerking. Assets, She-Hulk, a show that everyone on the internet loved, as we all know.
I like that one.
And I liked it a lot. I'd rewatch that sometime. I hope we get more of it. Yeah, I said it. I went out and said it. Don't at me, bro. Or at me. I don't care. I agree. We're already getting
in the weeds
with things, but I agree. It feels like something that, if executed well, interesting story, the right budget to accomplish it.
Cool shit that looks good.
Cool shit that looks good. Maybe, phone up Guillermo del Toro, Mr. Guillermo del Toro. I don't even know. I was trying to do it for you, but I feel like I can't pull it off like you can.
Guillermo.
Maybe get him involved. Get him on the line and see if he's got some ideas that maybe he once upon a time would have done himself, but he's busy making a Lovecraft movie that's never going to get made, or whatever he's up to these days.
Yeah, what is he up to these days?
He's doing something. I feel like we talked about it recently. He's doing some sort of movie with like Andrew Garfield or something. Whatever he's doing sounds really interesting and very much GDT. But he's not doing this. But hey, it could work. Will it work? I think that's the question mark. And I think that there's a lot of factors that have to go right for this to really be successful. And it seems probably more likely that it does not work for a multitude of reasons. So, pending more information, obviously, I'll say, we'll see what happens with this. I'm not opposed to it. I would watch it again if it does seem like something that is what it, living up to its potential. But I do think it's going to be really hard to pull off. So I kind of agree with you on that. So, any other thoughts?
No, that's all I got.
All right, on we go to our second headline. You thought it was over. I think everyone thought it was over. I'm pretty sure the people involved in making it thought it was over.
Frankenstein.
But apparently, we might be getting a fourth season of Ted Lasso over at Apple
No
TV
way.
Plus.
Really?
Season 4. WB Television has picked up options for 3 cast members to come back for a potential fourth season. Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift. They picked up options for them. They will have to make new deals for the likes of Jason Sudeikis, Brendan Hunt, Juno Temple to come back. So it's not a set, done deal, written in stone sort of thing. They're going to have to probably shell some dough out and get everyone kind of on board, I would have to imagine. But it does seem like the wheels are in motion to make another season of Ted Lasso. So this is really your realm of expertise. I still have not watched any of Ted Lasso, unfortunately.
It really should not be.
Well, it won't be. At some point, I will watch Ted Lasso. I promise you. I'm not. That is not just empty air. I promise. I'm really, really interested in watching it.
Ted
I definitely want to watch it.
Remains some of the best television that I have ever seen, and it's really out. It's outside of what I would normally watch and then praise. It's near and dear to my heart, and I very much love it. I think it's a wonderful show.
So the question is,
am I here for season 4?
Do you think that a season 4 makes sense based on where things ended?
You could take the story there, sure.
Okay. I didn't know if it was one of those things where it's just like, maybe leave it alone. Like you had 3 seasons, you nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, could it be done? Yeah, it could be done. But, I mean, it's not like...
There wasn't enough finality to it.
Yeah, Ted Lasso doesn't die in a plane crash, right? So,
okay.
Yeah, we can have Ted Lasso.
It was just a dream sequence, man.
Spoiler.
I don't know what you want. Okay, all right. Well, that's what I was the most curious about is, does this feel like them going back to the well unnecessarily? Because it does happen with shows. They revive shows.
It could be, too.
Obviously, some shows, they don't even stop. They just keep making it for way too long, and they run out of ideas, and it's very apparent on screen. 3 seasons is always like... I always say like 5 seasons is kind of like... Sometimes like that's kind of what feels like the upper limit of how long a show can really go before it really starts to feel like you're... spinning your wheels.
Like, what's your story here? Right.
So, all right. Well, I'm interested even more, hearing the fact that a season 4 doesn't feel like some crazy out of bounds idea. So it sounds like if everything comes together the way that it might, production wouldn't start until 2025. So we're still probably at least
ways out, yeah.
a year and a half to 2 years away from this season debuting, which gives me plenty of time to catch up. So at a minimum, I will not Star Wars Rebels this shit. I will be ready. If season 4 drops and I've got a trailer and says coming out on this date, I will be done by that date.
It could be your name for it could be your name in a future year.
Right. Yeah. Me catching up to something that's maybe very good. So we'll see what happens. Keep things. We'll keep our listeners updated. Keep them posted if we get some more info on this front. If things really start to come together for a 4th season of Ted Lasso. But right now it sounds like they're moving that direction. So
good. So
there you have that. All right. Next we have Henry Cavill. He's not Superman anymore. He was the Cavill-ring. Maybe he'll come back around for a bigger role in Marvel. He's not Geralt of Rivia anymore, as we all know. So what's he up to these days, right? What's he up to? He's warhammering about. I think that's still in the works. But he's also going to be Voltroning about, apparently. He's gonna headline an Amazon MGM feature adaptation of the popular anime Voltron.
A feature adaptation.
A feature adaptation, not a TV show.
That's a tall order movie, there. Jeez.
A Voltron movie. Hey, well, you had budget concerns about big robot things. This is a movie. It's Amazon. Jeff's got the money for it. So
that's true. This is true.
It could address that issue there. Also, if our listeners haven't noticed, then maybe I'm pointing this out. There's a few things in this that somewhat coincidental, although I could have probably put them in the last episode. There's some robot-related shit here going on, so, there's a little synergy. It's not quite everything is on theme. There's definitely some stuff that doesn't really fall into the category, like Ted Lasso. Hard to really tie that to the wild robot too much. Maybe it tugs on the heartstrings. Maybe.
There we go.
Maybe. But, big robots, man. Voltron. So what do you think? What do you think? A Voltron movie could work? Do you think Henry Cavill is a good star? I mean, is Voltron, I guess there are because the Voltron, they're like piloted by people, right?
There's like a team of people that pilot different robots, and then they turn into Voltron.
Different parts of it, and then it's
Power Rangers.
Big robot. Right.
Megatron Voltron.
The Megazord or whatever. Yeah.
Megazord.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Megatron is Transformers. So, all right. So Voltron. What do you think a movie could work?
The anime on Netflix is I always enjoyed the anime on Netflix. I'm probably like several seasons behind now. Probably more than several seasons, but
I think it's been done. But I think taking a quick look, 8 seasons. There was 8 seasons.
Yeah, I've watched
Voltron
like 4,
Legendary
3 or 4.
Defender. You better catch up soon because it's getting removed from Netflix in 2 years or 2 months rather.
Is it really? Damn.
Yeah, must be a rights issue. It'll probably go up somewhere else if I had to get, it'll probably go on a different service. It's probably just a
pretty cool show though.
Type of thing.
I think it's good fun.
I remember you watching it, enjoying it. So
I don't know how you make a Voltron. I guess if you give me a good story, anything's possible, right? But I think visually it makes a lot, and I feel like it could totally work, right? The idea of big piloted robots coming together to form a big super robot fighting. The problem you have with it is, did you ever watch Zoids?
No, I don't think so.
It's like a 90s anime thing.
I feel like I recognize it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they have animal robots that they pilot.
These dwarves.
The problem is like you have the discovery of each pilot, and then the relationship they develop with because it's almost like a sentient robot in a way, right?
Okay.
Then they've got to come together. Each pilot's got to come together, and then they have to come together as a team. And there's like this whole process that happens, at least in the anime. I don't claim to be a Voltron expert. But there's a long process about the pilot, and then the pilot and his machine, and then the machine and the pilot and the group, and then the group working together to pilot the giant Voltron, right? And I think that if you do a Voltron movie, unless it's a series, like you make subsequent films, I'm almost a little worried that it's going to feel like a Power Ranger situation, to where by the time you get it all powered up, you have Voltron for 1 minute and it feels like a Megazord chop the bad guy in half kind of situation. That's the end of the movie. Like they do at the end of a Power Rangers episode. So,
right.
I am not I'm not dying on the hill of Voltron. I enjoy the anime a little bit, but I'm not an expert. So, I mean, if you give me some cool shit and it's fun and it's cool, it's got Henry Cavill, then, I'm there for it. But I think it might be more than what a feature can give you in one movie, right? Depends on how I guess it depends on how they write the story. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, as someone that's not well versed in Voltron type of things, it feels like this could work for me as like from a concept level. Same thing with the Pacific Rim, I guess. All the big robot things, like big robots are fucking cool. They can definitely work.
Yeah,
it's
true.
I like a good big robot sort of thing. I do
Doesn't mean
it's got to be good necessarily, but it could be. It definitely could be. So I mean, I like Henry Cavill. He's also going to be in the upcoming Highlander.
There can be only one
reboot. There can be only one, and that one is Henry Cavill. But director Rawson Marshall Thurber is attached. Hell of a name. Who's
that's
directed that's one man. He's got 3 names. He's directed most recently 2021's Red Notice, which was apparently really good. Netflix, Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot's movie. Prior to that, he did Skyscraper. That was where The Rock fought a skyscraper. Who won? I don't know. Never saw it. 2016's Central Intelligence. This man loves directing The Rock in a movie. That was the Kevin Hart one. And he did We're the Millers. The Rock probably had a cameo in there somewhere, but I actually don't know that for a fact.
Is that the animated one?
No, that's the one where that's Ted Lasso. Just Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston and Will Poulter and Emma Roberts. They form a fake family so they can smuggle drugs. Yeah. And Dodgeball, a true underdog story. He did direct that 2004.
Fuck. Okay.
Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller classics. So very leaning on the comedic chops early in his career, and then shitty action rock movies later in his career. So. I wouldn't say that's a confidence-inspiring resume, but
he likes a paycheck. That's cool.
Hey, after Chernobyl, after Craig Mazin, did some Hangover schlock, and then went on to make Chernobyl and The Last of Us.
Yeah,
anyone's capable of anything, right? So anyway, there you go. That's that headline. Henry Cavill, Voltron movie. It's all coming along. So our last headline is kind of actually a bundle of news. So it came from The Hollywood Reporter. They had an interview with 20th Century Studios boss Steve Asbell, basically kind of about what's going on with the upcoming slate over at 20th Century, which obviously is now under the wing of Disney, but 20th Century still kind of maintains its own sort of IPs. Think about your Aliens, your Predators, Planet of the Apes and stuff like that. Those all kind of fall under the 20th Century Studios branding. And perhaps it's no coincidence that I bring all of those franchises up because in terms of what was talked about, Avatar is also there. Don't forget about Avatar. So
they're making more of them.
They're definitely making more of those. We already knew that. But the reason I brought up those other franchises is, well, wouldn't you know it, they're going to be making more of them. So we're going to be getting a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes follow-up with, I think, maybe Westfall possibly coming back. He's busy making Zelda over at Sony and Nintendo, so we'll see how fast things are coming along. But on the Alien side of things, we are going to be getting an Alien Romulus sequel. They are in negotiations to bring back Fede Alvarez to come back and direct another one. Sounds like they want to continue the storyline from Alien Romulus, bringing back the surviving characters of that movie. I won't say who. And see where they go next, basically. Probably fighting aliens again. That would be my guess. Probably more aliens. Maybe there's some weird shit. Maybe there's some Black Goose shit again. I don't know, man. But perhaps I think the most exciting or interesting kind of announcement that was kind of just made sort of nonchalantly in this interview format is we knew that there was going to be a Prey follow-up on the Predator side of things, to be clear. Dan Trachtenberg, who directed Prey, is making another Predator movie, which is set in a different time period. It's called Predator Badlands. It's like set in the future, is kind of its idea. And they announced that there's a release date for it, which I think is November of 2025. And so that's coming out theatrically. It actually just took over the date that Blade vacated, is just as a side note. So, because of course Blade is not coming out in 2025. They have to finish a script and then have Mahershala agree and actually film a damn thing before it can come out. So who knew? So Disney is slotting Predator Badlands in for a 2025 theatrical release. But a big fucking like look at this thing, that's just happening is this guy said that there's actually going to be 2 Predator movies coming out next year, not just Predator Badlands. And one of them's already been made.
What?
And they've both already been made. They've both already been made.
Holy shit.
The other one is, I think, also a Dan Trachtenberg directing thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so he went ahead and just directed another secret Predator movie, and apparently that is maybe going to come out first. But I'm guessing based on the way that it's talked about that it would be some sort of streaming release type thing. So no real details on like what the setting and cast or anything would be for that. But 2 fucking Predator movies, that's
something.
I mean, that's pretty. It's pretty wild.
It's impressive
right?
that you can do these kind of things in this day and age, where people actually don't know about things and like, hey,
well, that's really fascinating. Is like like set pics leak all the time for like everything, and so to like kind of be able to make something. I mean, maybe they just made it on the same set. You know what I mean? Like maybe it is the same actors, and it was just like we've got an idea that's different from what we're making right now. Let's just fucking do some weird thing, with our downtime. Like I don't know. I'm really curious to see what it kind of ends up looking like, but very very fascinating. So. So yeah, what do you think about all these things? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes 2 or whatever it's going to be called, and Alien Romulus 2 and Alien Remus, I guess. Or these 2 Predator movies.
I enjoyed Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Apes. I enjoyed that.
Sure,
that was pretty good. I'd take more. It's the IP that produces endless films. So I'm here for it. It's fine. Just keep making good stuff. The Prey was something very special. That was pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I don't know how I feel about Predator set in the future. I almost kind of, and kind of a campy way of feeling about it. Kind of wish that we just visited like places in history with Predators. So you had like the Vikings or the samurais or whatever, colonial UK or, just wherever, all these different places. You can go to the Mongols and the steppes, and they all fight predators, that'd be pretty cool. But Predator in the future sounds, I think we've had, did we have that? Wasn't that Predator 2? Or was that just in the city?
I think it was just the city. Yeah, I think it was just like 1990s Los Angeles or whatever. Okay. It was like a heat wave or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they were all fucking super sweaty.
Everyone's just fucking sweating, just pouring sweat the entire movie.
It's like they filmed the movie. They filmed the movie when the fucking air conditioning was broken on set, and they had to write it into the movie.
There's a heat wave, big heat wave in the city.
Oh, that's hilarious. Anyways, yeah, I like Predator. I think Predator is a lot of fun, so I'm here for it.
All right. Just taking a quick scan, other announcements that were kind of just thrown into this. No Kingsman sequels or prequels planned. Oh, no.
Holy shit. What's the first?
More Agatha Christie mystery movies planned, maybe with Kenneth Branagh, but that is not specifically mentioned here. And they've got a script for a Master and Commander prequel, but not really further than that.
The boats?
Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. Russell Crowe is a ship captain, and it's really long, and I've heard it's really good, but I've only seen it once, and it was when I was younger, and I thought it was very boring. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep, so it could be. It feels like a good classic movie to revisit now that I'm older and might appreciate something like that. But,
okay.
I got to carve out 3 hours for that. That's you got to find that time somewhere.
Trust me, I know.
But all right, you ready to move on and talk about some trailers?
Let's keep it going.
So, got a few animated trailers, some things that certainly, fit the vibe here. Tried to keep things, I almost threw a trailer in here that was like very hard rated R, and I was like, it's kind of weird. And it would have been the last one that we talked about before we moved on to the Wild Robot, so it felt especially jarring. So on the animated side of things, in December of this year, December 13th, we are going to be getting The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. We have an official trailer for it, fully revealing the animation style, which is fucking anime as fuck.
Yes, it is.
It's the next theatrical Lord of the Rings movie. Original anime feature directed by Japanese filmmaker Kenji Kamiyama, who's worked on the Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell TV series, is what he's specifically credited for from what I'm seeing here. Voice cast includes Brian Cox. Miranda Otto is back to narrate in her role as Éowyn, reprising her role as Éowyn. How you feeling? 183 years before the events of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the film trilogy. We're going back in time for a fucking anime Lord of the Rings movie. It's coming out in theaters, man. It's crazy. So what do you think? Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm real excited. The guy walks up.
You've been getting some Lord of the Rings goodness in some ways.
You're gonna regret your decision, old man. And he punches him a couple times. Sure. The old man punches him once, and he fucking kills him. Poof, dead. Like, oh fuck. All right. Yeah, this looks cool. I don't know anything about the story. I imagine it's a short story from the what's the book of short stories or whatever, that the Silmarillion, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's either going to be pulled from the appendices or the Silmarillion. I'm not sure particularly what the where it's coming from, but it's almost certainly rooted in some Tolkien story. So
cool. I'm all about it. I think it looks cool. I think it's a unique approach. The animation, while being anime as fuck, is also like it's kind of like a classic almost looking anime. Like I really like the art direction.
Right. It's extremely anime. It is.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's the same thing, sort of what we're talking about. Of like you don't really. I feel like. Certainly on a theatrical side of things, like 2D animation doesn't look like this anymore.
No,
this is such a traditional type of like maybe TV anime style, I guess, really. But it is. There's
just a different level of care, anime almost. It just feels. I don't know. I
feel like you see the style more with Netflix, but even more so than like Castlevania and stuff like that. This still feels almost more traditional in its actual styling. So I don't know. It's really cool to see. I like it a lot myself. I am very curious to see how this does theatrically, like box office wise, because obviously it's the Lord of the Rings. That should bring in droves of people, but I am wondering if this is going to be off-putting for some people. Like I think there's a pretty good cross section of people that like Lord of the Rings and like this animation style in the first place, but I feel like there's a lot of casual Lord of the Rings fans that may get turned off by something like this. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll be there, right? I could say that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I really like the art direction a whole lot. Looks really cool.
And the story, I think, seems like it'll be interesting. And obviously, the world we know is interesting. It's certainly playing with the sort of settings that obviously that we recognize from the movies and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I think just the direction of it, the all of it looks really. Very much up my alley, so I'm
but it's a really cool blend. Talking about the animation specifically, like you can pause it. There's a sequence here where a drawbridge gets dropped onto like a wall,
sure.
And it's like 3D, but it's like with hand drawn, like the hand drawn girl and stuff around it.
Right.
It's cool. I don't know. I'm here for it 100%. I think it's gonna be awesome. What was the release date on this again?
This is coming out this year, December 13th. Just less than 2 months away, month and a half away. Roughly.
It's fabulous. So. I will definitely be going to catch that. Looks like a good theater trip there.
Yeah, I don't think I'll literally join you in the same theater, but maybe a few days after. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe we could sit in our respective rooms, our recording studios, and talk about it. So I would very much like that. So maybe that's what we'll be doing come December. But just a week later, we're going to get another adventure. Sonic's biggest adventure yet. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will be coming out December 20th, which is only 5 days before Nosferatu, but we're not talking about that. We already talked about that a couple times already. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic's back. James Marsden's back. Knuckles is back. Tails is back. Dr. Robotnik's back. Eggman's back. Talk about that. Maybe another Eggman's Pappy is here.
And Pappy, Pappy, is that you?
But I think the real star of the show is gonna be Shadow the Hedgehog, voiced by Keanu Reeves, right? You're a colorful bunch, that sort of thing. He's Keanu-ing about with his voicing here. What do you think? Do you think you'll be making back-to-back theater trips, back-to-back weeks with Lord of the Rings and Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like, is it predictable because I played Sonic? I don't know. But they've already set up kind of like the sympathetic villain turned hero at the end of the movie kind of situation with Robotic coming back and this and that.
Right.
So it looks fun. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm there for it. These movies for me, I really like the Sonic franchise. I like what they've done. I like how simple they are. I like they're not blockbuster masterpieces.
No.
But then again, they don't set out to be either. You know what I mean? And they're getting Jim Carrey back in front of a camera, which I enjoy Jim Carrey, so I'm here for it. Here for it 100%. I don't know if I'll make back-to-back trips. I think I'll catch it on streaming, to be honest, but I think that's it does look like a very streamable film.
Because it would be 3 straight weeks, because you're seeing Nosferatu. Maybe not on a Christmas Day, of course.
But very close.
But 26th, maybe. Or Christmas Eve. Maybe you'll go 24th if they put it out early.
Ooh. A little midnight show.
Yeah, I do feel the same way. Like, I think that these movies, for me, have trended in the right direction of getting more fun and embracing the Sonic-y elements of it. Like, the first one was kind of like, even obviously from the early trailer where they tried to make Sonic look fucked. They recognized or were told that they shouldn't do that and changed it.
I still think it was a marketing ploy.
It very well could have been. I don't know, but it worked if so. The second movie felt like, the design elements, like Knuckles and Tails, like it just felt like it was kind of starting to lean into the game things. Like, obviously it's still in the real world and stuff, but it was definitely getting more, tonally in line with what the games were. And, it's all very silly, kid-friendly, but I felt like it was at least a somewhat serious attempt at making like a fun sort of Sonic movie, whereas the first one to me did not really work in any way. This one feels again like they've kind of gone in the right direction. Like, obviously it's fucking absurd, it's ridiculous, but it feels like it's leaning into what it is, and everyone expects it to be, and not in a bad way. Jim Carrey hamming it up, Sonic just sonicking about, and everyone's quipping and stuff. Like, I think that for depending on what you're looking for, this is the kind of movie that could be 100% grating and insufferable. But I think that if you go into a movie like this with the right, mindset of, like, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be,
you're seeing a Sonic movie.
It's a Sonic movie. Like, it's a kid's movie, and it's a kid's movie that, perhaps unlike a movie that we're talking about on this episode, it's a kid's movie that I think is going to be, first and foremost, designed for children. Not necessarily to the exclusion of adults, but I don't think it's a movie that is designed with adults really in mind either.
No.
As like a, hopefully it's funny enough, entertaining enough that it's not insufferable to watch as an adult. But at the end of the day, we are catering to the youngest among you. That's who we're really, really targeting with a movie like this. And it's going to get the Sonic fanboys hyped because it's got Shadow, and he's so fucking cool. I hope he busts out some guns, maybe in a post-credit scene. That'd be sick.
Ooh.
Because he
busts out his motorcycle.
Motorcycle would be fucking
and he
cool,
runs
man.
On water, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. So I once upon a time,
you're a big Sonic guy.
We'd maybe see this in theaters. I kind of feel the same way, where it's like, I don't know if I'll have time for it necessarily, but I think it'll be fun. It's not going to be groundbreaking, but I think it'll be fun. So and that's what you want out of a movie like this. You want it to be fun, and that's enough. So
that's all. Yeah.
So for those who want Sonic the Hedgehog 3, who eat up shit like this, good for you. you are going to be well fed on December 20th. So, and for the likes of us who are content to wait for a Paramount Plus streaming debut, it'll probably be out in, early 2025 sometime. So you can watch it with Baby B. Baby B will have a fucking blast watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I reckon. So, maybe you will too. Are you going to have a blast in theaters in 2025 watching a Minecraft movie?
I don't think so.
April 4th, 2025, you don't think you're going to be having a blast watching a Minecraft
everything
movie?
In this trailer.
Well, what about it? What about it doesn't give you vibes of this is going to be a blast? It's a facetious question.
We can start with Momoa. Mimosa?
Yeah.
Momoa. We can start with
Mimosa.
Momoa. Yeah, we can start with
Jason. He's Jason Momoa based on what he's wearing in this fucking trailer.
Which is his his Fast and Furious. Like
it's a little
alter ego.
It's a little Fast and Furious villain-esque, maybe a little played up, but I think. Do we think that this is a creative decision by the crew of this movie, or by Jason Momoa just doing his own thing and no one stopping him?
I think it is. It's hard to say because the rest of the movie looks schlocky and shitty as well. We can start with the llamas.
Like it fits in with everything else. Like Jack Black couldn't be fucked to shave for this movie. You know what I mean? So he's just full Jack Black. I'm Steve, but I'm just Jack Black with my normal Jack Black beard and hair. I used to be in Tenacious D, till
we broke up.
Till we broke up because KG said some things that
fucking
KG got real mad about.
KG, what are you doing?
That JB was laughing at on stage until his agent called him and said, "Hey, JB, Jable's actually
not the best look, bro.
Cool, man. It's not cool, man. So actually, you got to break up the band now. It's not cool, man. You got to disown it. Wait for the election to blow over, and then you guys can reassemble, and everyone will be fine, and no one will remember this. It'll be like one line on the Wikipedia page. It'll be fine, but you gotta wait for it to blow over, man. You're gonna be in a Minecraft movie.
You think they still hang out? They still gotta hang out, right?
Oh, 100%.
They're still bros.
Yes, this is a he's going to be in too many movies, and he doesn't need to have the press asking him about this sort of thing. So it's just clean split for now. Wait for things to blow over. Wait for a Minecraft movie to come out in April of 2025, and then you're good, man. You're in the clear.
Good. This movie looks like a giant pile of shit, in my opinion. It looks
I think it's
very bad.
It's rather ghoulish in terms of. I mean, Minecraft is hugely popular. It's not anything that I'm into. But obviously, it would be. I recognize obviously how incredibly popular. Minecraft is, it's one of the best-selling video games of all time. Apparently, it's the best-selling video game of all time. I didn't know that.
Wow! Microsoft bought it for like $5 billion or something.
Yeah, I mean it's insane. I'm so on the outside of this, and that's totally okay. I don't need to be on the inside. It's not. I don't think it's not intended for me, and that's fine. So like making a movie. Great. In some ways, obviously, they're trying to carry over somewhat the animation style with the blockiness and stuff. But what are the character designs here? What is anything in this fucking
llamas?
thing?
I don't know. I don't like anything about it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm outside looking in. I don't know enough about Minecraft to tell you if this feels like, oh, this is a really good adaptation of Minecraft. But my gut tells me it is not. My gut tells me it feels like Hollywood execs making their version of Minecraft and doing it, and
I don't think Minecraft is when people just build shit,
right? And like it's a really kind of difficult IP. Like, was there a story in Minecraft? Like, it really is just about like the sandbox elements and being able to have the freedom to kind of build and do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And it's like pigeonholing that into some sort of sub 2-hour narrative. With, doofy fucking characters and Jason Momoa dressed, as ridiculous as he is and Jack Black just Jack Blacking about. Like, none of these are like, bad elements in a vacuum, but it's all kind of weird thrown in a blender like this. And it looks like a fake movie. It really looks
what's your
like
name? I'm Steve. And there's like a long dramatic pause, like it was supposed to land, and I had to end up laughing because it's like, wow, that fucking failed.
And again, and I'm like, maybe if you're really into Minecraft, like, oh, fucking Steve from Minecraft, you know, like, I don't know. Does that mean something to someone? Probably. I'm sure it means more to someone than it means to me, right? But I don't know if it means enough.
So.
I don't know if that means enough, like, because it's like, that's just Jack Black. Because I know what Steve from Minecraft looks like. He looks like a fucking block, you know? He doesn't.
Does he? Like I don't even know. I didn't know Steve was a character.
Yeah, Steve's a character. I think he's been in Smash Bros. Or they've put him in as like a assist trophy or something like that. You know, so like Minecraft has touched into, you know, other things, and you know, for obviously for being the best selling video game of all time, you know, fair enough.
You're more in it than me. I didn't know I had characters. I thought it was just build shit. I know those zombie things can kill you if you like. Find zombies.
Well, again, and I don't know how much narrative focus there is or anything. Like I don't know if it's like it's just like really a default, default. He's like a default like kind of model that you can use. You know what I mean? Okay. I think he's literally just a skin. You know, for like a character that you know you can play as. You know, as you go around. Wikipedia. Steve lacks an official backstory as he is intended to be a customizable player avatar as opposed to being a predefined character. Why are you making a movie about that? You know, like there is no story. Like, so you have to make shit up for something like this. Like, it's just what's.
I feel like the Ryan Reynolds movie would be a better stand-in for Minecraft.
Like Free Guy.
Free Guy.
Yeah, totally.
Free Guy would have been like make a Free Guy sequel. Free Guy Minecraft. You know what I mean? I feel like it would be better than this. This is terrible. I mean. If that's a hot take, I'd like to hear somebody else's take because I mean, maybe the trailer's just poorly done. But
well, I think it's a shit trailer, but I think it's probably a shit trailer because it's going to be a shit ghoulish film. Is my bold prediction.
It's an amazing adjective. I've never described anything as fucking ghoulish.
Yeah, but it fits this, does it not?
It does. All I can think of just Jason Momoa's eyes with his fucking wig or whatever. Maybe it's not a wig. Maybe it's his real hair.
I don't know. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know, I don't know. You can find me not in a movie theater, or if I am in a movie theater, I'm watching something else on April 4th. Let's put it that way. So it's a miss for me. You know, hey, I'm sure we will see. We will see if it makes a lot of money. I am very curious to see if the sales of the video game translate into the release of this movie. Like, are all those fucking Minecraft people, going to turn out in droves for this? You're going to be like, no, fuck that. I'm just going to play Minecraft instead, So we'll see. Anyway, ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to something that is a little less ghoulish, I would say. Mickey 17, the next movie from Bong Joon-ho, Academy Award-winning writer and director of Parasite, is bringing us Mickey 17. This is coming to theaters January 31st next year. It's got Robert Pattinson playing a few different characters here, right? Looks like clones, or I guess clones, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, weird, out there sort of trailer.
One could say ghoulish
stuff. Ghoulish, but maybe in a different sense. I don't know. Hey, if you want to call it ghoulish, go for it.
No, I prefer the ghoulish as an insult and kind of like a thing versus this. This is, I think, morbid. Morbid is probably the...
Okay.
Seems like an interesting take, though. It's definitely going to be...
It looks bonkers. That's my word that I would pick.
Yeah, it definitely looks bonkers. I think it's going to be like... I feel like it's almost like a Snowpiercer. It's going to be
definitely
like
that side of Bong.
Yeah. It's going to be a Snowpiercer. It's going to be a Parasite. It's going to be. Did he direct Snowpiercer?
He did.
Oh, really? I didn't think I knew that. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's like he has a theme. If that's the case, his third movie that I think is going to share the same theme of classism and that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And which I think is really interesting. He's finding different ways to tell, similar stories, which is pretty cool. And this one's This one looks wildly entertaining. Steve Yeun looks great in this too. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, great
Robert
cast.
Pattinson's a total boss. I don't know.
He's great. He has so much range. Like first, I think Anna was like in a different room, and she's like, "What is this?" Because she heard the voice, and it doesn't sound anything like him. He's he does voices, not in a bad sort of way, but in a way that is just like, if you listen to it without seeing the screen, you'd have no fucking clue it was Robert Pattinson.
You wouldn't, no. So yeah, he's good. He's really good. What a career trajectory for our Pats. Yeah.
From a little Harry Potter action, a little Twilight action to really, taking all, indie roles and crushing it. And then now kind of swinging back more into the mainstream with Tenet and the Batman. And then this is kind of somewhere in the middle. Like this is, it's a Bong Joon-ho a lot of people saw Parasite, as they should, because it's an incredible movie. But this is very out there and weird, and probably not going to be a movie that everyone likes, that everyone digs. You know what I mean? But I like that this is the kind of thing that he's going for in a lead role, where he's getting to show some range, so show some of his chops and playing different, I guess not necessarily versions, like personality wise. Like I don't know, like clearly there's a personality conflict between these two versions that come into contact with each other, as we see in this trailer. But like how different are these, versions of the character going to be from each other?
And why do they change?
Interesting to see. Right. Why are they different? Yeah, I don't know. Something that I'm sure this movie will explore to some extent. Bonkers, definitely, but interesting, visually interesting. Story seems very interesting. Good supporting cast. Obviously, Stephen Yeun, as you mentioned, Toni Collette.
Toni Collette's awesome too. All of them.
Naomi Ackie, hey man, sign me up for any Bong movie is how I feel at this point, after the likes of anything that I haven't, there's definitely some, I still haven't seen Okja, some others that I haven't seen, but
Okja's like the giant creature one.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's him too. I didn't know that.
Netflix
I haven't seen that either.
I've seen The Host, which we talked about. We did as part of a bonus episode. That one's a cool one. I've seen The Host, I've seen Snowpiercer, and I've seen Parasite. He's definitely got a very unique, style and everything that I'm super, super down with. So I'm pretty excited to see what he comes up with for this one. It's based off of, I think, some sort of graphic novel, maybe.
It looks like it is.
Just a novel, straight novel, not a graphic novel. So,
really?
So yeah.
Good for him.
But
man.
I think it feels like using it as a basic concept and then playing fast and loose. Like I don't think it's going to be a strict close adaptation. I think it's I was inspired by this and now I'm going to make some weird shit, sort of project. So
it's just cool to watch people who, they're just wildly creative people.
Just wildly creative people. Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really awesome. And it's really awesome to watch wildly creative people get recognition for mastering a craft, and then they get the keys to the kingdom. You know what I mean? Just
happen with Del Toro.
You print money, Shape of Water. Dude. So we trust you. Just do what you do. Cook.
Parasite has Bong. Let Bong cook, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's awesome. That's really cool. So I'm excited. I think out of all the trailers we're talking about tonight, I think this is the. This
rate's number one. Maybe
this rate's number one for me. And then close second is the anime. But this is number one. This is totally.
But we have two more trailers.
170% my shit. This is 170% my shit. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Very excited. January 31st next year, 2025. Mickey 17. All right, we're gonna round things out with a couple Netflix movies. We got another robot movie, big robots walking around. This one's called The Electric State. We have an official teaser for it. This is coming to Netflix next year, March 14th. It is the latest Russo brothers movie. It will be the last Russo brothers movie before they slide on back to Marvel to knock out a couple Avengers movies. It's got a Netflix ass cast, is what I'll say.
Yeah, it does.
Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt headlining. It's some sort of, I guess it's not I was going to describe it as post-apocalyptic, but apparently it's not quite that. It's an alternate version of the 90s and the aftermath of a robot uprising. So it's sort of that vibe. It's just timeline-wise, it's a little different from where you traditionally see post-apocalyptic sorts of things. I mean, it's a little interesting, I think, overall. I mean, I will say I'm intrigued by the premise and the concept of it. What about the execution of it? Are you interested in that? It is a streaming movie. You don't have to venture to a cinema unless they put it out there and you really feel like it. So, you can always factor that into your expectations too.
It kind of feels to me like a hollow kind of movie. That's what it kind of feels like. It feels kind of divorced of any sort of real fucking feeling.
I don't disagree. And to be honest, I think if you took Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt out of this trailer and put them with other people, I might be a lot more interested, because I think those two don't really interest me. And I like her in Stranger Things. I think she's good in Stranger Things, but I just kind of feel like she's never really done anything for me outside of Stranger Things. And Chris Pratt has lost all luster for me. I think he's fine as Star-Lord, but I feel like when I see Chris Pratt in action movie, I'm like, oh God, here we go again. So they gave him long hair here, so he's different or whatever. But it just doesn't excite me, to see those two headlining a movie. That's just it's not a bad cast, but it just doesn't excite me.
It just kind of looks.
It looks like it's not quite there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about this one. I just kind of don't like the vibe.
I feel like the idea of it is relatively interesting. Robot uprising, alternate 90s. Okay, that's kind of neat and different. And the designs of the robots are very kind of off kilter and
they're
different and wild. Visually, it's maybe a little dull overall, but fine, big robot sort of thing. But it just doesn't seem to have some sort of spark. I don't know if we can really pinpoint what it's missing, but something seems to be missing.
The robots are aesthetically different, but they're wildly they just don't seem like they'd be functional fucking robots. Why would I design a robot with an enormous fucking head? It looks like it would struggle to eat, and there's no display on the robot. You know what I mean? They're they just don't seem. But maybe it's because it's alternate 90s. They're not the best robots. Maybe if we let them make robots for a little bit longer, they'd be better robots. I don't know. They're just I don't know.
Yeah,
he's having to point to the picture when it right. He could just say, "I'm this kid. I'm your brother." But maybe it's a broken robot. I don't know. I just don't buy it, and I don't know. I don't think I'm there for it.
Something's off. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the cast. Maybe it's the Russo brothers outside of Marvel don't really seem to have a good grasp on things. Obviously they're talented and but it just kind of feels like the Gray Man was kind of the same thing, where it's just it looks fine. Maybe, you know what I mean? And did you watch the Gray Man? Did I watch the Gray Man? No,
I don't watch that shit.
Do you feel like you missed out on anything?
No,
I don't. And this movie feels like that, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's this movie will come out on Netflix, and you will forget about it. You will not realize. March 14th will come along, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, it's on Netflix. Maybe I'll watch that." March 15th will come around. You'll have forgotten it existed,
and your
life will go on. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It just feels like that. And it's I like the Russos. I'm obviously curious to see what the hell they do with fucking Marvel shit. And
they're capable directors.
Jr., Dr. Doom, and whatever. And but yeah, totally. And it's being written by Marcus and McFeely, who wrote all the Captain America and Avengers movies. So it's that. It also seems I think it's it feels like it's based off of something, but I actually don't know that it is.
It looks like it's based on fucking Fallout or something.
It has Fallout vibes, but like we have Fallout at home sort of vibe. You know what I mean?
And it also kind of looks like they're trying to. It looks like aesthetically, like the look and the coloring and everything, kind of almost feels like what's the one with the ship that like floats around and like and then the beams come down and they go to space and they bust up the robots. The robots are fighting for freedom. It was made on like a fucking iPhone. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
it's the Godzilla guy. Godzilla and the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, the creator. Yes,
the creator. Aesthetically, it kind of like the feeling of it feels the creator. Like it looks like the creator.
Yeah, but not. But it doesn't. Still not quite there.
Exactly. Yeah, so it just feels off.
It's like an attempt at that, but they didn't quite have the
the panache
to
they're missing the magic.
The same way.
The pixie dust.
The magic, the pixie dust is missing for some reason. I don't know where it went. Someone took it. Bring it back. Put it back in there. I don't know. But hey, whatever. Hey, we'll see what happens. Anything can be anything. We'll see. We'll see if this is anything. Probably not. All right, last trailer, Spellbound, also on Netflix. I figured we'd finish with an animated movie, so we would have a nicer transition than talking about a very violent rated R movie. This is coming to Netflix pretty soon. It'll be out this month, not when we're recording, but when this episode is out. It'll be out this month, November of 2024, the year, but November 22nd is the date. That was what I was looking for. Little animated movie, you know. Kids' parents get turned into monsters, and she's got to reverse the curse before it's too late. Voice cast includes Rachel Zegler, John Lithgow, Nathan Lane, Titus Burgess, Javier Bardem, and Nicole Kidman. What do you think? You interested in something like this? Does this feel like a good plop on a TV while baby bees in the room sort of movie, or even maybe it's even more than that? I don't know. What do you think?
It almost looks like I don't know. It looks pretty. It's a pretty looking movie. A little bit of How to Train Your Dragon-esque in a way.
Yeah, definitely some dragon vibes. I think in terms of, I feel like design definitely
style.
Sensibilities lean towards that. I will say, having basically come straight from watching The Wild Robot to watching this trailer, I was just like, no, I don't like this. I don't like the way this looks. Like after like 20 seconds, I was like, oh yeah, it looks like every other animated movie. Fine. But there was
you finished watching it and then immediately came over here and watched this trailer, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, more or less.
Fair enough.
Like, no, thank you. Like, I didn't have the same reaction with The Lord of the Rings because it's so different. But this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, this is a little bit more traditional 3D animation style. And it's just like, it doesn't stand out as much, and it's just like, oh, now that I know what things can look like, I'm not saying everything should look like the Wild Robot. That wouldn't make sense. But this is less inspiring overall.
Yeah, it just feels like more the same. It's just kind of like that's the way things are made now, Yeah,
sure.
But, I mean, it didn't do a whole lot for me, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But
you weren't spellbound by it yourself.
I was not spellbound. No.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, a few weeks away. It's really not long to wait. Maybe,
it's a streamer too. It's easy.
Maybe it'll be a surprise. It's a Netflix movie, right? Low stakes. You give it 10 minutes, and you're like, nah, I don't care.
I don't like to call it disposable media, but at the same time, it's. I don't want.
It is, right?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's longer. But the investment required is. I can pause it to go to the bathroom. I can turn it off if I want to go to bed and start it up the next day. It's easier.
Yeah, and it's not the same thing that we'll probably talk about in recommendation of the VOD calculus of like, I got to throw a good amount of cash at this up front to even watch it in the first place. Like Netflix it's the sunken cost already. You're paying for Netflix anyway. So this is just a bonus if it's good, if you're interested in it and it's on your radar and you watch it. Like, you're not subscribing to Netflix for this particular thing, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. This to me feels like hey, if the reviews are pretty good, it'll kind of slide higher up on my queue of things to watch. It looks cute. It looks like it'll be entertaining. It looks pretty standard and not in a bad way, but in a, maybe this is probably not going to be the best animated movie of 2024. I'm just gonna say it. Okay. So, all right. Well, that's Spellbound. Check it out later this month if you want on Netflix. Or maybe, just maybe, you should spend your time with another animated movie. We will tell you whether you should. Now we're gonna tell you now. We're gonna talk about it now. We're gonna talk about The Wild Robot right now.
No shit, right now?
As long as you're ready to talk about it.
Yeah, we can watch it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
So it's a 2024 American animated science fiction survival film. That's right. I'm going to read the entire Wikipedia article to you. No, I'm just kidding. So this came out in theaters the end of September. So we're about a month out from when it came out in theaters. I think it's still playing a little bit here and there. But it is also out on video on demand, which is how I think both Andrew and I watched it. Yeah. So we'll certainly, again, factor that into our recommendation, Beetlejuice style. But I think $30 to buy, $25 to rent as a baseline.
Right.
That's pretty sure that's what I saw. I opted to go for the buy because I'm like, I'm not renting this shit for $5 less. That feels silly. But maybe you did something different. I don't know. We'll get into it.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. The Wild Robot was written and directed by Chris Sanders, stars the voices of Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Kit Connor, Catherine O'Hara, Bill Nighy, Stephanie Sue, Mark Hamill, Matt Berry, and Ving Rhames. New York City. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I think Enrique will at least appreciate that. Some What We Do in the Shadows TV stuff. I've only seen clips on YouTube, but Anna and I have been saying it to each other for the past week, so it's there. And I heard his voice in this movie, and I was thrilled. I tell you. Shipwrecked on an uninhabited island, an intelligent robot called Roz must survive the harsh environment, bond with the island's animals, and care for an orphaned baby goose. Would you like to do a box office breakdown for The Wild Robot? Box office breakdown. Let's complete this task. Talking about the box office.
Beep, beep, boop, beep, boop.
Beep, beep. Yeah, some beeping and pooping in there. Great, love it. So, on the box office side of things, I think that it is, to kind of preface things, I think the fact that it got the quick VOD release is not a sign that like this thing bombed or anything like that. So let me just throw that out there right now. When it came out, it debuted with $35 million in its opening. $35 million in its opening weekend, which was good for number one. It dethroned Beetlejuice, which was in its second weekend at the time. And I think it's had pretty solid legs since then, dropped 47% in its second weekend, and has kind of maintained like pretty like above $10 million through its next few like weekends, a couple weekends it looks like. And so right now it sits at $112 million domestically. Worldwide total is $234 million.
Damn.
So, and we'll talk about it later. But they've already confirmed they're making a sequel. So it's clearly done well enough to justify that.
Wow.
Reported budget of $78 million. So it's already
making money,
more than twice its budget. So I'm sure this is turning a profit at the end of the day. Commercial success, Wikipedia calls it, $234 million worldwide against a production budget of $78 million. So, that's the box office breakdown. Good things for it. It's probably making it's made at least a little bit more money on the VOD side of things from Andrew and I. I can tell you that. But like I said, I think it is playing in theaters, and I think it is. I think you could see it in theaters if you wanted to still, but you're not going to get a premium format or anything like that at this point. You probably have to seek it out, or you could watch it at home, but we'll get to that. Before we get to that, I would absolutely love to know what you thought about The Wild Robot.
What about this movie would you like to know about first?
I would like to know,
spin the top,
in non-spoilers, how you felt about how it made you feel. How did it make you feel? That's what I want to know.
This movie,
because This is a movie that made me feel things, and I know how you are with animated movies. So
if you
I'm
felt
curious
things,
to know. I think this movie made you feel things. That's my bold prediction, but I want to know for sure. So that's why I'm asking.
I will say that this movie made me feel something for almost the entirety of the movie. I mean, maybe after the first 10 minutes of the movie, I began feeling sensations in my heart, in my eyes, in my nose. And they just never went away. Coming. That's right. Right. We watched this movie after a fall festival with Stephen and Haley and Jack and Jonathan. Stephen and Haley put Jonathan to bed. They took a nap. And little Bennett took a nap. But Jack was wide awake. He's a little bit older. He's like 3. Or is he 3? I think he might be pushing 4 now. Anyways, he had seen this movie in theaters with his grandma. But Stephen had not seen it. Stephen told me that he was going to go see it, but he actually never went to go see it. So anyways, we talked about it the couple of nights before, whatever. We went to a fall festival together with the kids, and then we all came back to the house here, and we turned it on once the kids took a nap. We put it down for nap time.
Sure.
And yeah, it was on like Donkey Kong. I bought this movie on VOD for $30. I will say that. I spent.
You went for.
I can go to AMC theaters 3 times a week, every week, for $24. I think it is roughly something like that. Right. And I spent $30 on this one film. And I don't buy Blu-rays anymore just because I just like the room. I don't have anywhere to put them, and I just don't do the physical media anymore. I tend to stream everything now. And so spending the money on a movie is a big deal for me. I spent it on Beetlejuice, and I was a little burned. I was grossly disappointed
by your investment. Yeah.
This movie, I went on a limb and I purchased it. I remember being high on the trailer. The trailer, I thought that this movie would be
first trailer, especially.
I thought, I thought this movie was going to be something special.
Seemed like it was going to be something special. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was reminiscent to a WALL-E for me when I watched the trailer. Sure. And I adore WALL-E. To this day, it remains one of my favorite animated movies. Such a good movie. Anyways, so I bought it.
Went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it for the pod.
I did it for the pod. I bought it for the pod, and I bought it for maybe we'll talk about rewatchability. We'll talk about it. But the first thing that you notice in this movie, aside from the visuals, you don't really see a whole lot in the beginning of the movie just because of the way it's set like on a shipwreck kind of situation. So it's kind of dark and whatnot. I mean, and you do get a little bit of the animation. Don't get me wrong, but it's not until you get the vistas of nature juxtaposed with this robot. You know what I mean? And the way that those two interact, it's when it really starts to flourish. But the sound design at the very beginning of the movie was really good. The turbulence and everything from the storm and the way that this robot, you can hear the robot trying to the way that this machine tries to interact with everything, and it tries to grapple with its position in the world as the storm is going on. It's a very complex movie. It's a very, very complex movie. And it's told very simply. But the way that they choose to, the way that they put this robot on this island and it's forced to find its place, and what it needs to do, and the way that it's kind of just dropped off here, is very much like a child. And the movie's about how it raises a child, and it's man, and I get kind of I can feel it on the upper parts of my nose just kind of thinking about it. It's really such an incredible story. It's so fucking good. I'm getting kind of pumped up now. I'm getting stirred up. The sound design was incredible from the storm all the way through the movie, from the sounds of nature to the different animals, to the way that the functions of this machine, I think are really cool. Unlike the electric state, this robot is designed for mimicry, and it has a function, and the way that it moves and the way that it can move and the things that are available, the tools that are available for this robot to do its job and its function. It's an incredibly functional robot. Like, it's designed with purpose. You know what I mean? It's really cool. There's a book that I finished up, and it's got me kind of thinking about that stuff. So we'll catch up in the catching up section about that. But yeah. So the parallels between like the robot and the goose, the baby goose, are really, really cool, right? And the parallels between like, just parenthood and how, how you just gotta, like, you're just trying to, just trying to serve a purpose. We don't want to get too spoilery.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about animation. I think the animation was incredible. This is an incredibly beautiful movie, for very different reasons that, like, something like, I don't know, How to Train Your Dragon's beautiful, right? The lifelikeness of How to Train Your Dragon's sand is just so stunning, and it's cool. And it's cool to watch the evolution of that 3D animation. This is almost like a Spider-Verse kind of situation, right? Like, where it's animated and it's cool and it's not completely hand drawn. It's like a perfect blend between like modern technology and classic animation. It's you can tell a lot of care went into it, from the character design to just the backgrounds and everything. I mean, I kind of joked around about it at the beginning of the podcast, but it really feels like this island is a Bob Ross setting. It's just a idyllic, yeah. Just the beautiful vistas, or a beautiful island full of beautiful things. You know what I mean? But I really, 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 I really appreciated the story of this movie. The way it's written, and just the story that it tells about somebody who doesn't necessarily need to, a robot that's kind of thrown into a position that maybe it kind of felt obligated to in the beginning, but then it kind of flourished into something else, and just, it resonated really personally with me for a lot of different reasons. I haven't met my biological father. I don't know if we ever talked about this on the podcast, but we're getting real on the animated side. And
it's really where it draws. It's the type of thing that just seems to bring out the most emotions. So,
yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah. So, and so the person that raised me is my dad, you know what I mean? But he's not my biological father, much in the same way that the person raising this goose isn't the goose's biological mother. You know what I mean? She just imprinted with that robot, or he just imprinted with that robot, and and that's that. Does it make the connection any less real? You know what I mean? It just makes it different. And I think that this movie really explores something that's probably incredibly common. I think it's probably going to resonate for a lot of people. It really explores those developed connections in a really meaningful way. It's a powerful movie. It's really good. So I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. I thought it was wildly creative, and you can just tell so much heart went into the animation, so much heart went into the storytelling, so much heart went into the characterization and the way that these voice actors portrayed their you could tell you can tell that they're masters of their craft through their voice. You know what I mean? It really carried through. It's funny, it's sad, it's heartfelt. There's a full range of emotions in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't come around very often.
It takes you on a journey.
It does take you. Yes, it takes you on a journey, and the movie's about a journey. And it's
right. I mean, literally, but emotionally as well.
Emotionally as well. Yeah. It's just I've tried not to drop it as much. You
because thought from the trailer it might be special. It sounds like maybe that's a good word to use.
It was special. But I try not to. I've tried not to drop this as much, but this is really a tour de force. This is a tour de force.
That's another
movie.
way to describe it.
It leaves you. It leaves you kind of fucking flubbery. Just like, oh, what a movie. When
you finished it, did you sit there for a little bit and just think about it before you moved on with your life?
I got up.
Like, what was your immediate response? I
hit back and I said, "What a fucking movie, guys." And Haley said, "Yeah, what a movie." I cried. I never cry in a movie. And I said, "Well, I cry in all movies, but I cried a lot in this movie."
Especially animated ones, but they don't make me cry multiple times all the time. So
yeah, this movie's an emotional roller coaster. There's just a lot of movies, they build up to a certain point, like an emotional,
right?
Like
there's an emotional crescendo at some point, and
exactly.
That's maybe where
boom, and then that's when it hits.
Tears come.
But we talk about a journey, and you're on
15, 20 minutes in this. There's something that could
you're
start
vested.
The waterworks.
You're vested, right? And then 15, 20 minutes you're in, and then another 30 minutes goes by, and you're in again. You know what I mean? And you're in the journey. Just like life and parenthood and all this stuff. There's ups and downs and stuff. And you experience those ups and downs. And it's, man, what a special fucking movie this is. Yeah. Anyways, what'd you think about it, dude? I obviously enjoyed this movie.
You liked it?
Yeah,
you seem to like it pretty well.
I like this movie.
Pretty solid little movie. Yeah. I don't think I have anything negative to say about this movie. I don't think I have a single negative thing to say. I thought this movie was incredible. Thought it was a revelation. Thought it was special. I thought it was a tour de force as well, to use all the same words. Top to bottom, it's paced well. I mean, I'll run down the list. What I'll start with actually is my viewing experience, which I think is somewhat interesting because I haven't really been going in on the VOD phenomenon, but that is how I watched it. And so I was a little worried that watching it at home, I actually ended up watching it on my own because Hannah was busy, and well, the good news is I did the $30 option myself as well. So I was like, when it's a movie that's going to make you emotional, so you got to walk into it being ready for that. Man, this is me talking to her, but when you're ready, I will watch it again. Let's put it that way. But I think the viewing experience was really interesting because I wanted to see this in theater. It was all set to see this in the theater and just never made the time for it, never quite made it to a theater. I think I would have loved it in a theater. I think, we'll get into the recommendation of if I would recommend you could see it in theaters. We'll get into that, obviously, when we fully get into recommendation. But for my viewing experience, I haven't been watching a lot of movies or anything at home. I can't remember if I even talked about it. I think I might have. Actually, I don't remember if I talked about it. I watched The Batman at home. That was the first movie we watched in our den, which is, our home theater space, which is, the full setup. It's the OLED, the 65-inch OLED's up there, the surround sound's up there. I cranked the bass on the sub, which we had kind of put down a little bit when we were apartment living. Now that we own a house, all right, we're going to rock this shit. But that was awesome. It was like, oh my God. But we've been watching so much stuff downstairs, which is the shittier TV. It's a smaller TV. It's just a sound bar. And I've gotten used to the experience of just watching stuff down there. And most of the stuff we've been watching is, not stuff that is like a movie or stuff that really demands, that we watch it in the biggest, loudest, best format possible. But this, I knew, just purely from the animation style and the look of it, I was like, I'm going to watch this shit on an OLED because the colors alone are going to make it worth it. The HDR is going to pop. But I had gotten so used to stuff downstairs that going upstairs to the OLED, which is how I used to watch everything at the old apartment because it was the main living room TV, it felt almost like going into a little theater space. So I'm not like saying that I have the perfect setup at home, but it felt really nice.
It's good to have the contrast. Yeah.
To like go up to that and feel like locked in, blackout curtains, lights off, and I was sucked in, and it felt like a good simulation of like what it would have been seeing it in theaters. And like the first 10 minutes, it's there's a lot of stuff going on with nature and like the storms and lightning, and like it's booming, you know what I mean? So I was getting some bassiness coming through right away, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. This is way better than the tenny ass sound bar, down on the first floor. So I really, really enjoyed the viewing experience in a way that I was a little apprehensive about, like I'm watching it on my own. It's not going to be a communal experience. I'm watching it, the dog was there. So, it was a somewhat communal experience, but I don't know if he was really taking it all in the same way. And I just thought watching it at home was no issues at all, is what I'll say. Because it hit me in all the ways I think that it might have hit you. Maybe not all the ways, because I think that you obviously have a unique experience over me and in a few different ways, obviously what you talked about, but I think also the mere fact that you're a dad and I'm not, I think that certainly probably weighs on you and, and like it colors how you respond to things in this movie, I think in a way that I am not equipped to respond in the same way.
You can still identify them,
what I mean?
They still hit. You are a son,
and I can see those moments, and I'm like, oh, I know Andrew's crying right now. Or when he saw this particular moment, I'm like, here we go. That's a tear rolling down the eye,
Yeah.
So, I felt those things, too, which is a testament, I think, to the everything of this movie, right? So top to bottom, the things that stand out to me, they've harped a lot on the animation. I think this is a gorgeous film. The colors do indeed pop, especially in HDR. The actual style of it, I just loved. I thought it was so perfect for this sort of storytelling that it has, and the setting, this island setting. It's just such a magical job of bringing it to life, bringing the animals to life. The score I thought was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's incredible, dude.
Really, really enhanced it, because really for like, this is not really a spoiler, like, for the first like 5 to 10 minutes, it's closer to kind of what that first trailer was, where it felt like a movie almost without dialogue. Like the only dialogue in the first little bit is Roz talking at these animals who are making animal sounds in response. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Like a movie where, there's no talking animals and stuff like that. And then, after like 5 minutes, I'm like, well, so much for that.
And
that
they like narratively wrote it in for the audience to understand.
Yeah, it was great. Like it contemplated that.
It was ingenious. It was so
good. It gave you the 5-10 minutes of like, what is it like if you're just in nature, amongst these animals. And then it gives you the more traditional kids movie sort of thing of, yeah, the animals can talk, and they're great. It wasn't like a, like sort of moment. It was just like, oh, that's clever. And then all these voice actors are so fucking good and perfect for their roles. So it's like everything feels natural still. So that's kind of the next point. I mean, Lupita's great. She's fantastic. Pedro, awesome. Loved him. Loved him in this. I think, that's a character who, a lot of emotional depth there, and obviously a lot of, trauma and stuff that, like when there's some really special moments for Fink. Bright Bill, Kit Connor is Bright Bill, and the other, like big names. I think Matt Berry, obviously, shout out again, but everyone else really puts it in. And I think the nice thing about, sometimes the struggle you get with animated movies is you bring in a big talented voice cast of big name actors who, are talented actors but aren't the best voice actors, or it's distracting because it's like, well, that's just so-and-so. And like, this is like pretty, readily identifiable as Lupita and Pedro and whatnot. And like Bill Nye shows up and like, he's fucking obviously Bill Nye. But I thought that never felt like I was just listening to a celebrity in a voice booth. I never felt that way.
No.
I think in some animated movies it does feel like that.
It's because the narrative's so strong, I think. You're just, at that point, you're enveloped.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, 100%. And I think that's probably the thing that it comes back to at the end of the day, why this movie is so fucking good, is it's a beautiful story. The characters are, interesting and deep, and every the little characters get a little something to do, and maybe it's just being more humorous, or but like it kind of involves every kind of thing that kind of pops up at a certain point. Like it kind of brings it all together at a certain point in ways that you don't necessarily expect it to, and that's really I guess what kind of makes it special is how deftly it manages to bring all of these elements together. So yeah, I got nothing bad to say. It's funny. It's so full of heart. It's tender. The humor just sometimes it's dark humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's moments where it's just like, oh, like probably flying over a kid in terms of a kid's head in terms of like what does that really mean? Like it's not innuendo necessarily, but it's dark. And in a way, like this is a movie to kind of come back to like what I was talking about with Sonic. Like Sonic's a movie. Those 3 movies are made for fucking kids. The Wild Robot is a movie that is very definitely, I think, going to play well for kids because it's bright, it's colorful, it's really interesting. It's got scary moments, where things get a little bit more hectic and frantic and, and everything. But it is absolutely a movie that is also made for adults. 100% made for adults. It's, it touches on parenthood and what it means to be a parent and, what it means to build a community and
that part was huge. I haven't even experience touched on that.
Love and it goes places, with these emotional depths that you do not get out of every animated movie. Sometimes they get there, sometimes they get there and the waterworks come in the big emotional crescendo type moment. And then this is a movie that, because it kind of resets, it goes through seasons and stuff like that, and the way that the story progresses, like it has those sort of moments multiple times throughout the movie, and it fucking hits every time. It kind of, the way that it kind of paced itself, I thought was really well done. I thought it was very well paced in terms of just, the progression of everything. But it took it in places I didn't expect it to go. You know what I mean? And I never quite knew what was coming, but I was never unsatisfied by anything either. The ending, it stuck the landing, and everything. And it's like, there's a potential that this is a super, super sad movie. And like, there's sad moments in it, obviously. But at the end of the day, I felt like its overall message was very lifting.
Yeah, like that's another reason why it gets emotional at the end of the movie. It could be a sad movie, and it would have been sad. It would have been more.
This is a movie that could deliberately try to wreck your fucking day.
And yeah, that would have been emotional. But it's almost even more emotional.
That could have worked
because the message that it sends. You know what I mean?
Right. It goes for something a little different, which I think is not just, about, walloping you. I guess it is walloping you, but it's doing it in a way that feels like, literally what I did as I sat there, I let the whole credits play out, and I watched like the first 10 minutes of it again, and I was like, I've never done that with anything. Like, I was like, maybe that's just me enjoying the VOD format. It's like, well, I bought this thing, I might as well just fucking watch it again. But I wanted to watch the first 10 minutes because it was so interesting, because the jump in characterization from the first 10 minutes to where the movie ends, so rich and interesting, and I wanted to kind of go back and have that sort of frame of reference coming into talking about it, of like how in an hour and 40 minutes, less than that,
that's tight
and stuff like that.
That's tight.
They took it so far in a way that something like Beetlejuice, which has the same runtime,
went fucking nowhere.
Not even close. Like, I know they're totally different movies, but for you, you're talking about your wallet. You spent the same amount of money probably on both of them, or roughly the same amount of money on both of them. And it's just like this feels like a movie that will be very rewatchable, that you will show to baby B when he's old enough to appreciate it and take it in, and you probably watch it again after that. Like the last animated movie. Yeah, and right.
Jack did not. I swear to you, dude, Jack didn't fucking sit down.
Jack probably loved it, and Jack could watch this in 10 years. Well, maybe he'll be too cool then. Because he'll be a little snooty teenager. Give him 20 years. When he's 24, he'll look back and think, "Fuck me," because this movie hits different depending on where. Like, it's entertaining. And has the, robot and action and like colors and stuff that a kid's going to love it. Kid's going to appreciate it. But the adult is going to get
still funny. It's still funny.
And the kid's going to laugh at it because it's funny. And the voice actors just nail it, in the delivery. And there are really funny, cutesy sorts of sequences. And then there's really emotionally powerful sequences that a kid might feel kind of gobsmacked by, but an adult is definitely going to be gobsmacked by. So and two adults were gobsmacked by, at least two adults, maybe some others.
There were four. Well, Sarah was sleeping, but there was at least but
you own
three.
It, so you could watch it again sometime. So all right, so you ready to talk about recommendation?
Yeah, totally.
So in terms of recommendation, you could obviously recommend that people see this in theaters. It is still technically an option.
That's my greatest regret, is that I didn't see it I didn't see it sooner.
Sure.
Especially knowing how good I thought it was going to be,
In a Dolby, in an IMAX or whatever. I think it would have obviously been even more stunning, in that. But at the same time, it is, maybe in some ways being surrounded by friends and family, and the comfort of your own home, maybe you can open up to the experience more in some ways too.
That's right? True. Good point.
Than with a bunch of strangers in a theater, where people like I'm crying more than the guy two seats down, like
eating corn.
He's eating corn. Like am I the weird one? You know what I mean?
Right.
No, he's eating corn. He's obviously the weird one. So I don't know. Yeah. So all right. So I think probably what we can say is, based on the quality of this movie, you should go see this in theaters, because it is a movie that is absolutely worthy of a movie ticket price. It's probably the best way to experience it overall. However, that said, given that that's probably somewhat of a limited option for some people because it's been out for over a month or so. Speaking in terms of at home, you spent the $30 on the VOD. That's probably, if you wanted to watch it the soonest at home, that's the way to do it. So do you think that it's worth the $30 that you paid?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I think it's much in the same way that you sat there and you watched it, you started to rewatch it, for 10 minutes or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
If, say some of Sarah's other friends came over, and we got to talking about movies and whatnot. I'm like, hey, have you guys seen this movie? And they said no. I was like, you guys want to watch it?
You throw it on there.
Boom. Yeah. I'd watch it again, 110%. I've watched WALL-E. I've watched WALL-E
a lot of times, probably.
A lot of times, dozens of times. And I'd watch this dozens of times too. This is a special sci-fi. I really much in the same way that WALL-E did it too. I really enjoy like the super high, like just as far as like a genre kind of thing. I enjoy the super high tech stuff coming back to kind of nature. I really enjoy that.
Right.
That kind of
interesting juxtaposition. Yeah,
exactly. I really enjoy that. So yeah, recommendation. If you can't watch it in theaters, which that opportunity is rapidly dwindling, then VOD is. If you have to spend $30 to watch it, do it. If you don't have $30 and you only have $25, do it. And if you have,
I wish that you know, because it's so like, you know, like I understand if the rental was like $10-15 that like, you know, but
that'd be a totally different value proposition, right?
That's a steep rental. I don't think it's a thing, but I think that it should be a thing that you should be able to rent it for $25, and if you like it, pay the extra $5 and upgrade to owning it. I feel like that
should be a thing.
That should be a thing.
Or the value proposition should be dramatically less. $8 to fucking watch it. You know what I mean?
Or well, I agree with that, but you know, like it does. I feel like things slide once things get onto streaming, and then the digital prices kind of come down a little bit. Or when it's on 4K, you know, like you can get the 4K disc for $20-25 regularly. So, you know, you pay a premium to watch it at home at a time where it's still really in theaters. And if you wanted to see it in theaters, even if you don't have to go to your closest, you know, you might have to go to a further theater because it's not playing everywhere anymore. You're paying for the premium of it, you know, of the convenience of seeing it as soon as you can in the comfort of your own home. If you are content to wait, it'll drop in price a little bit. You could probably get the Blu-ray disc for a little cheaper. You could wait for it to go up on streaming for whatever. This is DreamWorks, so I don't know. Is that it's Universal? I don't know what the hell that would be on. I guess Peacock. You know, like, you know, so you're saying, and I am agreeing, I think.
Watch it however you can.
This is worth. Watch it however you can. Yeah. But this is worth the $30 to own it, to watch it probably multiple times, for as long as I mean, I probably won't because they spent the $30 and now I own it in 4K. But I would add this to my physical collection at some point. Like, I'm not going to buy it day one in 4K because I'm not going to spend another $30 on it, even though I think throwing $60 at this movie, I think would still be like fair. Like, I think in my lifetime I will watch this movie enough times that $60 is a drop in the bucket. But I think that, you know, if I could add this 4K disc to my collection, even though I literally own the 4K digital version of it, to me that, like, I wouldn't say that about most movies. Like,
one thing you know what I mean? So, to this day I've never really noticed it, but you get all the bonus features that you would get on a Blu-ray when you buy the VOD.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's like a little tab. You have to like scroll. Or
well, I mean, it's almost
like a menu,
like a disc
menu. I know, but it doesn't seem right. You know, like it feels like buying the disc is like, well, I'm not just getting the movie. I'm getting little deleted scenes.
Well, it definitely totally adds to the value. You know what I mean? It's one thing that I've never I've bought. I think I've bought like 4 movies. I've never really paid attention to that. So. I did notice that. I haven't watched any of them, but I do own those things, so that's cool too. But it's a good movie to. If you VOD it, you won't regret it. I don't think. I think it's a good VOD.
I would agree with that. Great. Shall we do some spoilers?
Spoilers. What do you got, dude?
Full spoilers for The Wild Robot. Well, I think it's really just talking about specific moments that stand out to me. I think that, honestly, this is the kind of movie that, you know, the plot beats aren't like the most like important thing. Like it's me talking about it to you is not the sort of like impact that you know this movie makes. It's like,
no. You got to experience,
you know, in a way that we talk about a Star Wars, or in the movie that, you know, in the way that we even talked about like a Beetlejuice, where it's just like, oh, what about this? Like, this is a movie that, like, you know, just experiencing it is
it's just a compounding that's experience, right?
But I will say, I mean, I think that if we are talking about, you know, specific things without dancing around things too much, because we're out of non-spoilers right now. Honestly, just some of the stuff in the very beginning I thought was very funny. The raccoon stuff, the sequence there was
where they fling off the
tree.
Very
enjoyable. Oof. They fling off the tree and then they all kind of plop into the water was very good. I enjoyed just like the little subtle moments of dark humor to kind of go more specific with that. There's the moment where Fink has the water kind of boiling and stuff, and then he just grabs the crab and just plops it down and just like goes to town on the crab in like 2 seconds. Like it's really dark because the crab is like important in the beginning, right? Because, you know, she
shows him how to like
the crab to get away from the wave. right? And then the crabs kind of come back around a little bit when they all kind of take shelter in the cave and stuff at the end. So it's kind of fun, like as a funny throwaway horrifying sort of gag, which I mean, it's what happens obviously if you're cooking crab. But it was kind of interesting to see that sort of thing kind of played out. And then the possum, when one of the kids is like, oh, 7 kids, nope, 6, like
that was really nonchalant. Funny. Yeah.
Like
they were talking about all the diseases and stuff. The possum's like,
and like all the kids are like, feigning, like dying and stuff like that. And
I have tuberculosis,
like, certain, level of humor,
whatever,
right? Of like having literal children, obviously doing the voice acting of just being, like, oh, I'm dead, with this horrible, affliction. I thought was a very, again, a juxtaposition that was very funny. So really, really enjoyed all of that. Humor was fantastic, I think, throughout. But the heart at the end of the day is what wins it. I was very impressed with Lupita's, like, especially going back to the beginning. The robot voice is very robotic.
Yeah.
And like she really did an amazing job of kind of tapering away from the robotic side and kind of, seeing this more human side or emotional side of Roz and how that character really kind of evolves throughout the movie was so incredible. Obviously, you see it in the story dynamics of how she's taking care of Bright Bill, but to really kind of hear the difference was, I thought, really fascinating too.
I mean, I think it takes a real good understanding of how cadence can like influence like an emotion, and it can pull out an emotional response from a person, right? Because I mean, that's exactly what it is. She's still a robot. She's not talking like a person. She's continuing the whole movie through. She talks like a robot. But like when she lingers on certain things or lingers on certain thoughts, and just the cadence at which she delivers her lines, it makes a tremendous impact. And the dynamics there. I mean, whether it's her or whether it's the director, I don't know. I don't know who it would be. It's probably a collaboration between the two. But the way that these lines were delivered and dropped for a robot to extract like the emotions that they wanted to from the audience was huge. It's really incredible. Really, I mean, because nothing was really missed. You know what I mean? I don't feel like they intended to deliver an emotional thing and it missed. Nothing missed. All of it was it was there, It's very good.
Very good. Well, I think that maybe begs the question, what were the moments that got you? What were the moments, if you recall, to relive those moments? Like
I think
what stands out of like
the moment that I
really
think the first moment that got me was when the egg cracked and she's trying to like keep the egg all like together,
Yeah.
And then like she puts the Bright Bill. Is it Bright Bill?
Bright Bill.
Yeah. Bright Bill's in her hand.
He's not quite Bright Bill at that time.
No, but he's a little bird.
He will be.
And all of a sudden she like fucking glows purple and everything else. Like the way that they convey like the emotions of the robot through just the way the robot emotes emotion through lights and stuff. And the way
because there's no facial animation to give you that.
No, and like you have the scope of the eyes, and they just kind of like zoom in a little bit or whatever. But mostly, it's like the way it's like the color, the way they emote emotion through color is fucking nuts. It was very good.
It's like through physicality.
Yeah.
Than your more traditional modes. It's a fucking robot at the end of the day, and it's a robot that obviously becomes more emotional and less robotic, but it's physically it's still limited in those ways, and so it's how do you work around that? And that
there's a fucking keen understanding of how to work around it. It was super keen,
definitely.
So like when she first gets Bright Bill, that was huge.
Yeah, that was okay.
It was huge.
Little baby Bright Bill was just too cute too. Just the design, the voice, and everything, just fucking adorable.
I mean, it was everything from just little things like that to where she when Think convinces her to build the house, and so she starts building the house. Yeah, and then she fucking lasers the little baby pictures, of the thing. And
I like too when Bright Bill wants to help. He's a little baby and he has the little twigs, and she's like, "No, that's useless." But then she's like, "Okay, fine, you little shit," and he just puts his little twigs up there.
Yeah, he keeps doing it over and over and over again. I see that with Bennett.
Oh man,
and it's that part's really cool. Like I'm in the kitchen every day. I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 5 nights a week cooking, and he just wants to stand in between my legs while I cook. I'm like, come on, dude, I'm trying to fucking move. And he just wants to stand there between my legs, and I try to remind myself, younger me would be frustrated. Older me appreciates, he sees me sitting here cooking and he wants to be with me and here try to help. It's really, it's endearing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I pick up on that stuff more frequently than maybe some other people. Like other people are quick to get frustrated about stuff. So I recognize it in movies, just like the sticks and whatnot. Yeah, I get a little emotional when I see this fucking bird trying to get the sticks because it's like, oh, you know what I mean? That's a thing.
He's just trying to help.
It's a very real thing and it's endearing and it's fucking it's those moments go away very quick, and it's a real thing. Another part was when, oh man, I think one of the best parts is when she gets the recognition from the older bird.
Oh yeah. Bill Nye.
Yeah. This is, you've given him a gift. He's a runt. He would not have survived at this point. You know what I mean?
Endurance.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, fucking incredible. It was so good. We're birds that don't talk. We're a bunch, this is our qualities and, it's who we are, blah, 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 that delivery and that frame of reference and that recognition that she gets from that bird and the way that Bright Bill is given an opportunity for leadership amongst the birds that have rejected him is huge too.
Right. Yeah. And then just building all of that, it's kind of montagey of him, getting his wings,
training with the hawk,
how to fly and stuff.
Oh,
training with the fucking and then and then the moment of him taking flight, and then they circle back.
Stop it, dude!
To Roz,
stop it!
Just for like one last look before they do the migration, and that's like halfway through the movie. I'm like, oh my god, what? Is there no more Bright Bill for the rest of this? Like, what is the rest of the movie? Is it just the little adventures where it's just like Bright Bill was just like a thing?
We're going to talk about Roz trying to create a community.
I'm so attached.
And hey, I know all these people hate you, but that's not the point. The point is you need to do what's right.
Oh, man.
Fucking stop it, Roz. I want to be hateful, Just...
Yeah, and just the visual evolution of Roz. Obviously, she's very clean cut, and nice and squeaky clean when she gets there, and then... the layers of dirt and the color is the same thing, when she's like fucking, ready to power down, she's all red and fucked up and, and then overgrown with the vegetation and stuff.
Yeah. Oof. Incredible, dude. I mean, at one point
the winter stuff, man.
She's about to, Bright Bill's learned to swim and there's some fucking gar or something that's trying to eat him, and she rips her fucking foot off to save the bird.
Yeah,
and nobody really notices. I mean, your boy notices the fucking beaver.
Yeah, he does. He does notice. I mean, that moment he gives her the fucking foot.
Oh, you stop it! I fucking weeped at that moment.
Come on, dude. Man. I liked, to swing back more on the humorous side, where They knock the tree down to put out the fire, at the end.
Yeah.
He's like, to everyone say that I had a good idea and tell me I'm cool or whatever he says to them.
He really rings it out.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. Yeah. Oh man. I say that the moments where Roz is like kind of forced to interact with the traditionally programmed robotic characters is like terrifying, because it's like, I don't know, that's the thing with like robots, and like thing that this really does super well is like, if she is just programmed at the end of the day, like 2 seconds and she's dead, like she, and it's almost like worse in some ways, because she wouldn't just be dead in the sense that like she's destroyed and that's the end of Roz, but she would still be there, and you'd have this moment of Bright Bill trying to, go like the way that Bright Bill did the first time they made it to this, place, and he saw the other,
the other
robots like her, and it was just like, and tried to like destroy them all. Like if there was that moment of those two where it's just like, that's my mom, and then she has no memory and recollection of him, like that's something that this movie could have gone for, and that would have destroyed you. But I'm glad they didn't, because I don't need that in my life.
But at the same time though, it just it really elevates.
But it hits close.
It elevates on so much more, not hitting on that.
I agree, because it kind of it goes that direction, and then finds a way to kind of resolve it away from that in a more lifting, heartwarming sort of way that doesn't feel cheap or like. She's fine. It's no big deal. Like, it is a big deal. But it strengthens their bond, and her, taking like the power core out, and it's like, that's not, like the parts of me that will live on are different from that. Oh man, just.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but it's really fucking touching.
I don't know either. I don't fucking care, man. I don't fucking care. All right. You know what I mean? So, just what a beautifully crafted, written, delivered film, with just many more moments that, I think any given moment in this could stand out as some sort of emotionally powerful moment.
Yeah.
I do know to hit on our thing, this is not necessarily related to the narrative of it, and it kind of makes sense given the animation style. Every frame of this movie is a painting.
Absolutely. No doubt.
You could decorate an entire wall with every frame of this movie, and it would be absolutely gorgeous to take in. So, yeah. I don't know. What else you got? You got anything else?
Not really, dude. Man, a really special movie. These movies don't come around very often. It's a labor of love from everyone involved. You can hear it. You can see it.
Yes, it is noticeable.
It's very evident that the people involved in this movie were 110% on board. They weren't showing up for just their paycheck. They felt what was intended, and they delivered on it. And it's like I said, it's really something special. Animated films are really good when they're really well done, and there's something for the. It transcends ages, and it's
totally. That's really something that's special about it is, you have R-rated dramas that are super impactful, but the impact is going to be lost on children because they shouldn't be watching it,
Yeah, and they won't understand. They can't understand.
They won't recognize all of the depth in this movie, but they will still enjoy it because of the things, like for almost the same reasons, without fully recognizing or wrapping their heads around what it is.
It's like you can take a really good thing of poetry, right? And you can revisit it over and over and over and get and extrapolate something more from it every time you read it, or every time your life changes, you can revisit it and get something different from it. And that's rewarding, and that's a good piece of art. You know what I mean? But for you to visit something when you're 4 and enjoy it, and for you to visit something when you're 10 and enjoy it for a different reason, or for the same reason and you just get more depth from it, for the same reasons, and then you revisit it when you're 30 and you have a kid, and you get so much more from it.
Sure. Yeah.
it's I really feel like these kinds of movies, when they're done correctly, are really they're kind of in a league of their own. They offer something that can't be really offered through any other medium. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like Jack can't read. He can't read. He can't like process the poetry of like a kid novel. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So there's something unique, and that can't be said for like a rated R movie, or like you could probably put that on page, and you could probably
even literally for the book that this is based off of, which is
right
going to be intended for kids, but probably not for 4-year-olds. You know what I mean? So
right,
like this is a way to take that story and
make
deliver
it timeless
in a package that anyone can enjoy. A 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, baby B probably
80 years old,
just being in the room enjoying
doesn't
it.
matter.
Like it's and you or I are obviously getting a lot out of it, and I think that our parents would get a lot out of it, and stuff like that. Like I think it's really a classic but sort of rare all ages and really all ages again, and in a way that's not like I don't know if my parents would love Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Probably not.
Right,
like, they might watch it with my nephew who loves it and find enjoyment in the fact that he's enjoying it. But are they really getting a lot out of that experience? I don't know. Probably not.
But they'll get something out of this.
Might they get something out of this? Probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so will he.
And that's just what totally. And that's what this movie is, so
it's one of those really rare things where that, like I said, you can there's not, I don't think there's really any other medium that you can kind of like have the same experience. So I think that's what makes something like this very special.
Kind of gives it a universal sort of experience. Yeah, no, I agree. Pedro was great. I gotta say, just throwing out some random last minute thoughts.
Yeah, he was.
Where he's like where he opens up and tries to get a little bit more vulnerable in like the third act. Man, so good.
Yeah.
To see the depth of that character too. Who's obviously a bit of a shit and scheming a bit and everything, and just
you can see it when he has his bed, when he's given a bed in the house.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to sleep in the bed.
Yeah,
he goes over and sleeps with the fucking sleeping robot.
Right.
Oh, and then when Bright Bill says, "Yeah, I miss her when she sleeps too," it's like, oh, you fucks.
Every moment they're just pulling on all the heartstrings, like, you sons of bitches, you can't even help yourselves. You know
exactly.
What you're doing.
You know what you're doing.
It's almost it's diabolical at a certain point. That like I don't have the liquid, in my store.
I'm not that well hydrated. I'm drinking
in my body right now. Yeah, like I'm gonna be crying beer, and
yeah.
I mean, I will.
I will do
good
it
for me. So, oh man, what a movie!
That's all I got.
Absolutely
That's
incredible.
All I got.
Watch it however you can, and get ready for more, because we are getting more. I said it a little bit already, but sequel is in the works. Chris Sanders, the director, is it seems like attached to it. It's in development over at DreamWorks. And small correction, I said there were 2 books in the series. There are actually 3. The Wild Robot Escapes, and The Wild Robot Protects. Those are the 3 books in the series. So, maybe that means 3 movies, in which, if it's going to be, I don't know how close of an adaptation this is from the first book, or, if the second
is it
book
escapes
is the same,
and then protects?
Escapes and then protects, yeah.
Jesus Christ, that sounds harrowing.
But even bad. just the titles alone, I'm like, oh yeah, no, they're probably all kind of around the same type of quality of just, gonna fuck your day up sort of things, in the best way possible. But I feel like, it's gonna be really, really hard to equal, the quality of this. But I think where the source material is there, if the source material is, in the same sort of vein, you bring back these people, you bring back this Chris Sanders, writer, director, you bring back Lupita, Pedro, and whoever else makes sense to bring back, and I think there's still potential. I think this movie totally works on its own, will always work on its own. But I do think that like having a sequel doesn't feel like a crazy thing. Like I think it ends in a way that
you can
there's clearly a more story that could be told. Doesn't have to be told, but it could be told. And hopefully, you know, if it sounds like it's going to get told, hopefully it gets told well, you know, so. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's The Wild Robot, folks.
What a movie. Watched a real good movie this year.
Watched a real good movie. And I like I said, I mean, might have said as much a little, you know, or in different words, at least at the beginning of the episode. I'm glad we did this episode to push me to watch it, to push each other to watch it, I guess, really, you know what I mean? Like, we were both interested. We, you know, obviously we're interested from the trailer, but we didn't make it to a theater, you know? We had to drop $30 each on this. Like, that's a risk. You took that risk. You took that risk and got burned last episode. You know what I mean? So, you know, not that Beetlejuice was bad, but it wasn't worth the money you spent on it, you know, for seeing it right. Like, you could have waited. 2 years to see it and probably been fine, you know? So,
yeah, definitely.
So like this was just I'm glad we did it. Let's just put it that way. Before we catch up on, you know, whatever we've been up to over the past week or so, which is not the last month or month and a half, which is good. So hopefully a little less to catch up on. I want to do a listener's corner because we've been running so long with our past couple episodes, we haven't had an opportunity to do a listener's corner. And we only have one thing on the listener's corner. It's not a long entry, but it's an overdue entry, shall we say. So, Bruce Brown, early September, watched the extended edition of The Fall Guy, which he said was a bit too long with the extended stuff. Started kind of bad, but got much better as it went and ended up being pretty good overall. I think I talked about, because I did see this in theaters. I don't think you've watched it at all, regular or extended. Maybe
not. Guy.
This is the Ryan
That's
Gosling
the stunt double.
Stunt double.
The video game guy.
Yeah, Emily Blunt one. I really liked the theatrical one.
I want to watch that one.
I'm curious to see how the extended one plays because it was not a movie that came across to me as something where it felt like it was missing stuff. Like I would sometimes, you know, the extended is like adding the 15 minutes of deleted scenes that was deleted for a reason. Like it just kind of, you know, makes the pacing sort of wonky. It's not totally necessary. And then there's extended editions where it's just like, oh, they hacked this movie to bits and they have to repair it with the extended edition to make it a cohesive movie. And to me, it played just fine theatrically. So I'd be curious to see how much impact the extended edition has in terms of like what new material it has. So either way, I really liked the theatrical one. I thought it was very fun. Great chemistry between Gosling and Emily Blunt.
It looked like a lot of fun. I kind of regret not seeing it.
Yeah, well, you know, you can watch it at home. Maybe it's streaming somewhere. I don't know how he watched it. He didn't specify, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun movie. So you have another recommendation of someone that maybe wasn't, you know, super hot on it at first, you know, and then by the end was sold on it. So yeah, that's our brief edition of the listener's corner for this episode. The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy's a recommendation. So now we can turn our attention to what you've been up to most recently on your side of
what have I been up to
in your state and whatever's going on down there. So if I can jump in for you on your behalf. You mentioned a book of some sort that you were reading earlier, so I was curious what that was.
Yeah, so a while ago, I haven't read any of these books, and I actually don't have any of them printed. I try to always buy the printed version of the audibles that I listen to.
Okay. So this is an audiobook that you listen to of something.
Yeah. So I finished the Earth Remembrance or Earth History or
okay. Gotcha.
It's the three body problem books.
Okay. So are you through the trilogy or through the second book or what?
No, so I finished up the third book.
Oh, you're done with the trilogy. There's like a fourth book, but it's not like part of the trilogy, right?
Something not of the same author. And I think I'm okay to let it lie. Like I don't.
Okay. Complete package. You feel good?
Yeah, I think I got what I needed. I want to start Percy Jackson. I'd like to get through a Percy Jackson novel before I get into the Stormlight Archive comes out with another book at the beginning of December. So I'd like to get through a Percy Jackson. Yeah, it's like the Wind. Yeah, exactly. Wind of Truth, I think, is what it's called, or something like that.
Yeah,
but
I think the December release date and another fucking 1,000-pager or whatever the hell else Sanderson's got.
Yeah, they're
dense
up for us. I certainly hope they're better than I didn't really enjoy the Mistborn. I enjoyed the first Mistborn book, but it just it got to be where I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm going to start reading. Your, Stormlight is 110%.
That's your
my shit. Yeah. Okay. It's very good. I'm excited to get back into it. I hope it's of the same vein as the other 3 books.
344 pages. Get ready.
It's a big one.
Hold on to your.
It's a big one. And to be fair, I've only ever I typically haven't read these books. I know that's not entirely true. I usually read the last 500 pages of these books. Sanderson has physically, like a Sander Lanch, you know what I mean, to where it gets fucking nutty at the end of his books.
Yeah, right. There's a point where then it's just go, and it doesn't stop until it's over.
Yeah, so when it gets to that point, I get home, I listen to it on my way home, and I'm fucking crunch time. I'm reading it all, and we crunch it out in one night, and I read it. Shit, and somebody that doesn't read very often, I crunch that shit out.
That's where you lock in.
I'm pumped up.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that's the same case. But I'm gonna do the first Percy Jackson book. I think that'll be a good book. I was gonna do Lord of the Rings. I was talking to Sarah about it tonight. I was gonna, because I finished the book today. I was gonna just say, oh, let's do Lord of the Rings. I think I'm gonna do Lord of the Rings. But I think that's too much to do.
That's an investment, and that would be hard to probably finish in time for Sanderson.
Yeah, but Percy Jackson, I feel like I could probably get through one book and be okay.
You could definitely do a Percy Jackson before then, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do a Percy Jackson book, I think. So that's what I'm going to do. I will say that the 3-Body Problem trilogy, which is, I need to pull up the...
Remembrance of Earth's Past, or what I think you said it earlier.
Boom, Remembrance of Earth's Past. That's what it's called. I will say that these are it's hard sci-fi. They attempt to be grounded. The last book kind of like it loses that grounding, kind of.
Okay.
Not to its detriment, you know what I mean, but it just kind of goes places.
Okay.
The last third of the book, it just kind of like poof, like we're going there, and it kind of just goes it goes wild, which is, that's cool. That you're wrapping it up. It does wrap it up in a way, but for like the first and second and most of the third book, these are grounded experiences. They're very analytical. They're very there's a lot of exposition, and it was really cool to like. I appreciate the writing style of this guy, the author. He clearly has like an understanding of the science and this and that, or at least like a surface level understanding of the science, and it makes for an entertaining book. A lot of really wildly interesting concepts to think about, especially when all these super scientific things are condensed into like one novel, and like what's possible and what's not possible, and there's a lot to think about, and it's really cool. So like when we watch The Wild Robot, or when we watch a trailer for something that has some crazy robots, well, these robots clearly aren't functional. Why would somebody develop these robots? Like, what purpose would they serve being designed this way? And the robots, all the robots and all the scientific stuff that's in the books that I'm reading are like, hey, listen, it's designed this way because of X, Y, and Z. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to read about that stuff. You know what I mean? This guy is clearly thinking about why a thing would be designed a certain way, or the principles behind the design of a certain thing, and that's pretty cool. I've never listened or read to anything like that before, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the books.
I'm curious but scared at the same time, of it, and there's other things that I'm probably,
I think there's probably more things you're predisposed to.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
I'm behind on Sanderson, so I would go there before I went, to that, because I know that I would be stuck in that world for 3 years before I was finished with it. So
yeah, it's gotten me through some of the year to get to Sanderson. You know what I mean? I don't want to discredit these books. They're cool books. But they're you could probably read like shorter things and think about get the same out of the book, because the characterization's kind of just you could watch the way he treats characters is kind of wonky.
I don't know if this is necessarily correct. You could speak to it more than I, but you could maybe watch the Netflix show and get some less good version of it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. It's there. They kind of kind of.
That's probably a little bit more. That's what got me
interested in the book.
That's more digestible for probably more people than, going
absolutely.
all out on these books.
Definitely. Are you going to read a Wikipedia on the three-body problem and read about gravitational laws and or are you going to read about super disposition and
if the answer
quantum
is yes,
entanglement,
you will like these books. If the answer is no, you can probably give it a miss.
Probably not. You probably do okay with that. Just wait for the Netflix season,
right?
But there is on occasion where I will read about the three-body problem, and I'm not a physicist or anything. I still fucking cars, but I think the shit's pretty interesting. I'll read about it. I might have a very surface level understanding about these things. You know what I mean? That's cool. Anyways, so I finished it. It's cool. It's done. We're going to start Percy Jackson. I'm going to go to bed tonight, and then I'm going to download the book, and we're going to start that tomorrow morning when I drop the gups off. So that's pretty much really all we've been up to, really. I can't think of quite anything else. Magic cards.
There's always magic, of course.
There's always magic. I have an absolute fucking tower of cards here. I got hosed. I bought a Theros Beyond Death bundle pack. Got hosed on it and didn't really get anything out of anything worth much of anything.
Okay.
Steven got me some cool cards that I've been waiting for. A Doubling Season. I don't know if you care to look up a Doubling Season. It's a pretty fucking awesome card. It's $40.
Okay.
He got me one of those, which is pretty cool for my birthday.
Nice.
But I haven't played in a month and a half. So I don't know what that says about my addiction. I buy these cards and I can't play with them.
Well, maybe you will at some point. You just haven't done so yet. Maybe. I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm trying to help you out.
Trying
to help you out.
Yeah.
Don't tell Sarah. She'd probably be mad at me, but
Yeah. So, anyways, what have you been up to, dude?
Well,
probably more than me, yeah?
Not really, but I will say before we get there, I have to do the thing again where I remind you of something. And it's actually going back to the Beetlejuice episode, because you brought it up when we were talking about news, and then I don't think you ever actually circled back around to it and catching up. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts, so I'm bringing it up now.
Okay.
You've watched at least some, maybe all of, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which, we talked about Lord of the Rings stuff earlier this episode.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. So, I got 2 more episodes left.
Okay. I think it's done now. I think it's done, all the episodes are up and available now. So yeah. I haven't watched any of it. I don't think we're going to cover it for an episode. I think probably not, just because I am not going to watch it anytime soon. But I am curious to hear from you. And maybe if you want to save your thoughts for when you're done with the full season to give me a better educated, longer version of it. But I'm curious if you think that it's worth going in on sooner rather than later, based on what you've seen so far, or if it's...
You go in at your convenience.
Okay.
When you want to dive into some fantasy shit, it's there.
It's there. Okay.
Yeah. Is it groundbreaking
quality as season 1 overall so far, or would you say it's a step in any direction, better or worse?
I think it's slightly better, but it's
not radically.
Yeah. Not radically. Right. Okay. It's not the show that stands on the shoulders. It's not the shoulders that it stands on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Right.
It's entertaining. It's good fantasy.
It's inferior Lord of the Rings, which is still better than some other stuff out there, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better than Witcher.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Toss a coin.
Is it going to be better than this Rohirrim?
It ain't Henry Cavill.
Is it better than this Rohirrim anime we're going to get? Probably not.
I don't know.
It's probably
Probably.
But
Okay.
I do enjoy it. I think it's I've tried to watch an episode when I can. You know what I mean? I've picked up steam. It's gotten better as it's come along. I really enjoy this. He's a wizard. But I can't remember his name. It starts with a B, I think. It's not Bilbo, but it's kind of like Bilbo a little bit. What the fuck's his name?
I don't know.
What the fuck's that guy's name? He's like the first wizard. You have to ask Anna. Who's the first wizard?
Yeah.
Who's the eldest?
First wizard.
The eldest. Just search for the eldest. I think that's something he goes by. This guy. Tom. No, his last name starts with a B. Tom
Bombadil?
Bombadil. Yeah,
Bombadil.
There's Tom Bombadil in this season. And he's pretty good. And he does like this thing. He's like, it's not what you're... What's he say? Fuck. There's what you're looking for, and then there's what you find, isn't there? Just like this super hard accent, and I'm fucking there for it, and I love it. It's so good. Tom Bombadil. Really enjoyed Tom Bombadil.
Sir, not appearing in the Lord of the Rings film trilogy. So rudely cut.
He said, "There's what you're looking for, and there's what you find, isn't there?" That fucking guy. And he's like, he's looking for his. This I don't want to get into it. You'll get into it. I like Tom Bombadil. It's fun. Listen, it's Lord of the Rings. It's fun. If you're into it, you're into it.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked with Anna about it, and I feel like you and I are like in the right place where we don't have the reverence or full appreciation for the source material. So like where they make changes and things, like it doesn't bother us, in the same way.
Yeah.
As long as it's like well made and like coherent and makes sense and like entertaining, like, and Lord of the Ringsy, enough, like that's kind of probably enough for us, even if it is in that same vein.
I appreciate that it's getting made.
Someone else,
you know what I mean?
Right, sure. And they're fucking putting a lot of money in it, that's for sure. So, all right. Okay, I'm done probing things, and coaxing it out of you of like, I know you've been doing this. Why don't you talk about that? I don't have a lot on my end. I've been busy, just with life stuff, I guess, overall, you might say. I think really, I guess the things that I've been busy with are the things that I've been doing for this podcast, right? So watched this movie, editing, episodes and stuff like that. I've been watching a Disney Plus show, which may be something we talk about, hopefully in the near future, by the name of Agatha All Along, which is wrapping up
pretty far along on that show
today. I think the two last episodes that are dropping the day we're recording, so it should be
wrapped up. I'm going to be behind.
Well, that's all right. There's always tomorrow.
Not far though. Not far.
So yeah. I'm 3 in of I think 9. Enjoying so far, and so I think maybe an episode, when we've all had a chance to finish it up and stuff. But other than that, that's like spooky season sort of thing. We are, like I said, we are technically not through Halloween just yet as of recording. So the other like Halloween thing that I'll mention, that I watched that I forgot to mention last episode, which is fine because it was already long enough as it was. When Ann and I, it's late night and it's, we've had a few drinks or whatever. Always Sunny in Philadelphia is kind of the thing that we usually put on.
It's a good one, yeah.
And so we watched season 8, episode 3, which, as it turns out, was like a horror episode. It was the Maureen Ponderosa wedding massacre. So it was like kind of shot a little differently and horror, movie inspired, which was really good. Strong McPoyle presence. It actually features a cameo from Guillermo del Toro, which was very fun. He plays Pappy McPoyle, which was fantastic. So I'd never seen that. we're like slowly making our way through it, because I'd watched like most of the early seasons, and then there's a certain point where I like fell off, and these episodes are new to me, and I think we're kind of at that point now, which is season 8 of now like 16 or 17 that have aired. So great show, great fucking show. And watch the floor. I don't know if you've been, if you do any game shows.
I know about that one. That one's got
Rob Lowe hosted one.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's the little challenges, the duels and stuff are pretty entertaining. But it's really pretty much it. Like in terms of watching, just general things. I'd like to watch more shit, man. I'd fire up a Rings of Power.
You and I both.
The Penguin. I still want to watch the Penguin. I haven't watched any of it. So I'm kind of slacking and hoping to play some video games. I had dreams of playing Alien Isolation and horror games, and that shit didn't happen.
That's a terrible dream. Fuck.
Nightmares, maybe. But it hasn't happened yet. So we'll see what I have time for, and I'm gonna be a little busy the next few days. I'm working tomorrow and all that. I'm working Friday, but I think
I'm not working Friday.
I think Mr. Meadows is going to find out for himself whether it's actually always sunny in Philadelphia. If I'm not mistaken. I mean, it won't won't be by the time you get there, because it'll be late on Friday. But you're coming in for a nice visit. Cheesesteaks, whatever you want to do. Baby B's coming too.
Should be fun. Baby B, Sarah, we're coming up to Philadelphia,
Florida, Georgia. That'll be fucking scary. It'll be after Halloween, but it'll be scary, because it'll either be scary for Florida fans watching their team get demolished.
It'll be absolutely terrifying.
It'll be scary for Georgia fans if it's even close.
Yeah. We're gonna come up watch a football game.
You're gonna hang out.
Really
excited to have you. We'll be hosting you obviously in the new house. You get to see the new digs, guest room, guest bathroom. Oh my goodness, the works. Enrique and Celine, I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of them too. So it's going to be exciting, and it feels kind of surreal that you're flying up in 2 days, man. So
that actually it does seem surreal. We don't. Sarah and I don't travel a whole lot, you know what I mean, outside of like a cruise or whatever, so.
And have you flown with Baby at all? I think she might have.
She has. Right? She has a couple of times. I haven't.
Yeah. So that'll be a new experience for you. So
absolutely.
Anyway, next time we record,
I couldn't be more excited about that. I'm super stoked.
Yeah.
Frankly, I need to do it more often. It's
tough.
It starts with one.
Right. And it's tough, and it'll be a weekend that'll almost certainly be over too fast, but I think it should be good fun. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys up here. And
it's kind of cool just to have a weekend to go up and not really, there's not something going on that's dictating something. You know what I mean? It's like, we're just coming up to hang out. So that's cool.
If we got a game at 3:30, that plop in front of a TV. That's it. That's really all that.
That's it. That's all we got.
That's all that's really on the docket. So yeah, totally. No, it should be fun, and our listeners will hear about it the next time we record, because it will have happened by then. So, so I'm looking forward to seeing you up here.
Likewise.
Yeah, I think that's it. So we'll circle back around to that next time we record. But for now, it's time to say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes, timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes that we work on in the future. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. We're on the socials. We are on Twitter for now. At WRRPod. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/watchreviewrepeat. We're on Instagram at watchreviewrepeat. Still no Threads or Blue Sky just yet, but maybe sometime when I feel like
Blue Sky. What is that? What's that about?
It's like Twitter, but it's just a different thing. So I don't know. Threads is the one that's associated with Instagram.
It's Facebook, but right?
Yeah, it's Meta. It's Meta, but it's Twitter, but Meta.
I'm so out of the fucking loop, dude. I don't even know anymore.
Well, it's not like we really have a huge thriving subscription base on any of our socials. It's mostly a perfunctory mention at this point. And Anna always gets on me because she's like, I used to do this, I could do all the social media marketing for you. I'm like, yeah, I don't really care that much, but we do this because it's fun for us. It's an opportunity for Andrew and I to connect and share our thoughts on obviously the things that we're passionate about. So it's if it was, we're 200 plus episodes and we're almost 300 episodes in. If it was going to be anything more, it would have happened. We would have gone for it by now. As it is, it's just a nice thing for us to do. Keep that connection, especially as both of us have lots of life to navigate. And you can see that and experience that obviously if you know us. But if you have listened from episode 1 to now, or anywhere along that road, along that path, you can certainly see that we've, things have changed for both of us in very, very big dramatic ways. So anyway, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about anything, you want to be on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, for example, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Fire an email our way if you've got something to say. Well, it was almost like a different rhyme, but I kind of...
it's pretty good. I'm here for it.
Fire it our way. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, which is licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And up next, we haven't really talked about it, but I think you're probably just waiting to watch the last 2 episodes that just dropped. So I think we got to go down the road, down the witch's road.
Down the road. That's pretty good. I like that song.
It's pretty. It's a banger. It's a banger, man. I think Agatha all along might be the next place we go.
Maybe we can just fucking watch a couple episodes while we're up in Philadelphia.
Maybe. I'm a little behind. I got some catch up to do, but we'll see. We'll see what I can do.
Yeah, if you can watch a couple, I'll watch an episode and then we just rewatch 3 episodes or watch the last 3 episodes or whatever.
Maybe. Yeah. No, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. But if nothing else, I think we can talk about it. Maybe in the near future.
At the very least, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And then I think towards the end of November, we're starting. That's when we start to get the Gladiator and Moana and stuff like that. And I feel like
the big ones.
Those are some of the bigger heavy hitters until we then get to the December with Lord of the Rings and Nosferatu and all that good stuff. So, alrighty, I think that's it. We will catch you on the next episode. Andrew, why don't you take everyone out?
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menche.